All right, welcome to Heat in the Kitchen, episode 6, with producer extraordinaire Corey O'Leary.
That's right. We got some actual heat in the kitchen too. I got this fire going. I'm about to close this thing. I'm sweating my balls off.
Well, a little behind
already.
Radio. This is the first time that we're doing an episode on a day where we were open already.
Yeah, right.
We've done it once on a day where we weren't open yet, and we were gonna, and then we've done a bunch on our closed day.
Nobody might hear this because I'm just gonna like sweat all over my keyboard in the mixer over here. And
I did wonder why you wanted me to leave the 900-degree oven on.
Well,
but
it's heat in the kitchen.
You did ask him to open it up, I thought.
Well, because if I close it, it won't be hot over
because
here.
This is for the YouTube channel, right?
So anyway, I'm Chef Avi Shemtov, and today we have a special guest with us. We have Melissa Mayer from the Mayer Realty Group at Compass.
Yes.
And we were just talking a second ago about the fact that I don't exactly know. There's a lot there. What's the at Compass all about?
So to me, first we talk about branding, right? So the Mayer Realty Group is the brand, but Compass is sort of like, people need to understand what Compass is going to do in this community. There is no Compass Real Estate. It's the #1 brokerage in Boston. Okay. It has been around since 2012. It is got 15,000 agents nationwide. It is right up your alley, actually.
So silly question then, but
Go ahead.
I've got dumb questions, and maybe somebody else does too.
Nothing's a dumb question.
So is it like Compass is like Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker? Like
yes.
it's a brand.
It is a brand.
Okay.
But they
That's
are
something
not.
I didn't even know.
It is not a franchise model
Okay.
the way Compass operates. Compass came into this market, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and they focused on very wealthy areas: Weston, Chestnut Hill.
Both of which, I've heard that they've got money over there.
Yeah.
Throw that mic a little closer.
Okay, you can't hear
me.
There
you go.
I've never heard anyone tell me you can't hear me. My voice is always so loud. Let me think. So they had 6 core offices, nothing in the Canton, Sharon, Westwood, Walpole, Foxborough, Easton area at all.
Okay.
And they're starting to expand in this area. And I am fortunate enough that they came to me and said, hey, we want you to be the one to help us sort of light the path.
That's awesome.
In this market. It's incredible because it's an extremely tech-forward company. So they're privately held. They've raised a ton of capital. They've taken all that money and put it back into the agents. So their technology, right, is unbelievable, which makes my life 10 times easier, which therefore makes my customers' experience seamless.
Of course. So actually, I think you know this about me, but I don't know if you know this. I was in real estate.
Yes.
For a little while. My biggest accomplishment, other than selling Corey a condo, was being on the show House Hunters.
You sold Corey a condo?
I sold Corey a condo.
Oh, that's right. I do remember your House Hunter stories. Tell me, because you have you're like the jack of all trades.
I know.
You've been a rapper.
I've been a rapper. But I consider myself still a rapper. Today we've got a mayor, and it's not Marty. I'm drinking OJ on the show because I got fucked up at last night's party. We talk Yang Gang, bar pies, and Cialis, plus shitty local restaurants. Sorry, Alice. It's heat in the kitchen.
Do you just sing or do you rap?
No, I just rap. You don't want to hear me sing.
Can you carry a tune?
No, I'm tone deaf.
Okay, but
I can carry a tune
you can rap.
melodically on a hip hop song, right?
Okay.
But you don't want me to sing.
Okay.
You don't want me to sing. You know?
But the House Hunter story is fantastic. Can you tell that in a?
I just was on the show House Hunter. So,
but it's fun.
Yeah, it was cool. So these clients of mine, Zev and Chrissy Young, still good friends, great people. They were looking for a house, and you know how it is. It can take a long time.
I got clients looking for 3 years now.
Yeah. So I think we looked for 13 months.
Right.
And that's actually after they had looked and then they settled on renting. And then we looked for another 11 months. So, almost 2 years. But along that process, they applied to be on the show House Hunters. And when they got picked, part of the process is you would now have to convince your real estate agent to be part of the deal and send video of
I'm sure that was real tough.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Avi was like, wait, I get to be on camera? Sure, I'll do it.
That sounds like a fun life experience.
I think he tried to get me a job on House Hunters at that time.
Wait, Corey, where did you buy your condo?
Millis.
Are you still in Millis?
Nah, I'm in Norwood now.
So you sold Millis?
Sold Millis.
Did Avi sell it for you?
No, he wasn't a real estate agent by then. He had 18 businesses by then, and none of them were real estate.
None of them were real estate?
No. But so to the point, so I was in real estate for a while and actually managed an office in Brookline, and then we had a satellite office in
what was the name of the company?
Trio Real Estate Group, TRIO.
Wait, they're still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
Okay.
Corey Brock was the broker.
Okay.
Taught me a lot, honestly, about life. It's funny, Corey and I used to bump heads a lot. And a couple years ago, I reached out to him just on a whim, just shot him a text message, and I was like, I just wanted you to know this one thing that I used to disagree with you on. I get now. I understand it now. Because he was tough.
What was the one thing?
Well, so Corey and I were very different personality-wise. Well, we're very similar in that we're both kind of aggressive and assertive. We were just different in that Corey he's 5 years or so older than me. So he was like 29.
Much wiser.
Yeah, like 29, just starting a family. I was 24 and like kind of brash. And I led the office in sales for 18 consecutive months. We had 22 agents. So to me, like, you couldn't tell me shit. I mean, like, I knew everything there was to know. And then he made me the manager of the office, which in hindsight, it was a weird decision because the two people that were up for that position was actually his cousin, who is a close friend of mine to this day. He lives in Nashville now. And me.
I fucking hate that kid, right?
Yeah, you hate him. You do. So anyway, he's a great dude though. He just like got hammered one night and was hitting on Corey's wife.
Oh,
is that what happened?
Huh?
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
that.
he was like hammered trying
you
to like.
don't know why
like,
you hate him, but you fucking hate him.
I mean,
just one of those things
listen. When you
spirals.
run with Avi back in the day, like, you gotta hate some people.
Yeah,
you do have to hate some people.
At some point, or sometimes you at least have to pretend you do when it's going down.
Yeah.
What is
when it's almost time.
Yeah, but that was the one kid Avi was like, no, you shouldn't hate him.
Corey's thing back when Corey and I went to college together. Well, we started college together. I got expelled quickly, and then we hung out while he went to college there. But Corey used to love to play this bizarre role where like every time, and it happened often, I got into an altercation or conflict with somebody, Corey would like kind of take their side and like get in my ear. Like he'd be like, dude, that guy's gonna fuck you up. And like just then it would cause real problems because I would be like sometimes I would push further because I was like, fuck you, that guy's not gonna fuck me up. It was like
winding up a toy. You know?
Yeah, like he enjoyed it.
You wanted to
for
see
some
him go.
Yeah, that's right.
I love Avi's rants. I do, and then I don't want to call him a rant because that sounds like you're having like a tantrum. It's more of like you are very, your opinions are based on a lot of facts. So it's very. I would be afraid to get into an argument with you, and I will argue. I will fight.
Well, that's what this
don't
podcast
be afraid.
is
Yeah,
for.
don't be afraid. We'll find something to argue about. Don't be afraid. Here's the thing I will say.
But he's very good with the pen, or the pen's the sword for him,
Sure.
right? So like his thumbs on Facebook and his posts, I'm like, Avi, I want to text you, and be like, Avi, I think you should pull that back just.
But can I tell you
something?
So here's the thing. I think that like
and I love it.
I think that you can appear like you're always right if you are a good self-editor. So all the times that I go to write something that I'm not. Like I don't have a ton of conviction on, or I'm not positive about, I just don't write it. Like I find myself going to write something, like even typing it out and then just not doing it because I'm like, if somebody countered with this, or if somebody disagrees, or if somebody's offended, I don't think I'm ready to die on that hill. So by the time I post something, like usually I do it as brash as possible.
It's gone through multiple iterations before you put it
Like
up.
when I called Kobe a rapist, people miss that like that post was like, hey, it started with, hey, I'm really torn about the death of Kobe Bryant. On one hand, he was a legend and like a big part of my sports fandom. At the same time, he was a rapist. And I didn't say he was a rapist by accident. I said he was a rapist because I'm aware of my very minimal, an incredibly minimal public persona. But I'm aware that I have a voice. So I know that there's going to be X number of thousands of people that are going to read this. And if there's just one person out there that felt like they had been sexually abused, raped, whatever, I don't mean whatever, but I'm saying like any of those things, and no one believed them, that they wouldn't think like there's Avi Shemtov, who is such a fan of this guy's basketball that he's going to just overlook that. If I read when I read people say Kobe was a legend, Kobe meant everything to me, my first thought was, so are you not? Do you not believe the accuser, or does it not matter to you? So for me, it was important to say he's a rapist. Listen, he's a complete person. I loved certain things about him. I don't think that people cannot be redeemed as people, not the act. Like, here's the thing. If Kobe had lived to be 100 years old and had continued on the path he was on for the last 10 years of his life, being a great father, being great in the community, championing women's basketball, doing all these great things, then we could say Kobe Bryant was one of the greatest people of the last half century and a rapist. Like, to be clear, if you rape somebody, you are a rapist. And you can go on to cure the world of cancer. And we should applaud you, and we should say you're a great human being in a lot of ways. But you didn't erase the fact that in Colorado, against her will, you raped a woman. That happened. And you acknowledged as much when you settled. After the financial settlement, people say, well, they settled for whatever, $2.25 million or something. That's not true. They settled for that amount of money and a public admission. It was part of the deal, and he admitted it.
Okay, so this is interesting that you brought this up, because I said to my husband the other night, right, that I hadn't noticed anybody else talking about that moment in time
Sure.
at all. Everyone was he's a legend. He did this. My heart breaks for his wife. My heart breaks for this family. It's a horrific,
more so about the daughter. I mean,
it's horrific.
Unreal.
So there's no taking away from that. But
Sure.
Now that you just said that you did post that, I remember as I'm sitting here going, "Oh my God, that's right. I think you were the only one that I saw say something about it."
And I got crushed for it. But here's the
you
thing.
did get crushed for it. It was like 85 responses.
Day of is always going to be.
But here's the thing. But let me be clear. Like if you, so I want to be very clear, and I tried to explain this to people on the internet who just like they're not as great at self-editing. I said that I'm torn because there's a lot of ways that I love Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is I was fucked up about the fact that he died. Like I feel the loss the same way anybody else who didn't know him feels that loss.
Right.
It's just that I'm also willing to say I've read the reports. I'm well aware of his guilt. I'm well aware that he had to make peace with his role in this. And by the way, I believed Kobe's story to the police. Like his story, like he didn't realize in real time. Like it
started consensual,
right.
and then he took it to another level.
The thing about
and
rape,
said no.
Right? The thing about rape, the thing about the whole Me Too movement, is that all of it's wrong. All of it's wrong. But there is a spectrum. There is a difference between forcible, violent rape. So I say violent rape sometimes when I'm discussing this academically with people, and they say, "Why all rape is violent?" And I said, "No, but I'm denoting like physical, like both of us are aware in the moment that this is against your will. Like that's violent rape. Someone being held down, attacked.
Yeah.
There's also rape. Like what happened with this young woman is she went into his room to have sex with him. They began having sex. He decided that wasn't enough for what he wanted at the moment. He wanted to have anal sex. He then began to have anal sex with her. She said no. He claims in the police report that he thought the no was to the direct question, "Can I come on your face?" So he admits hearing no. He admits during a sexual interaction that lasted 5 minutes, by the way, total of 5 minutes, to choking her, which he tells the police is sort of his thing. But this stranger doesn't know that about you. And this is happening in 5 minutes. This isn't like an hour of like communication and talk about like ground rules. This is a quick interaction in which you choked a stranger and heard the word no. In hindsight, his admission was, while I believed at the time this to be consensual, I now understand from listening to her that she did not. That's an admission of rape. That's what that is. Saying, I now understand that I had sex with someone who was not consenting. Is saying, I now understand I raped someone. That doesn't mean that he can't be redeemed.
No, the other thing about the Kobe thing, too, is also it was only civilly. It was never a criminal complaint.
Yeah.
So,
well, no, it was a criminal complaint. They dismissed the charges. Do you know why?
No.
Because Colorado.
knows.
Because they did things. So if I have a problem with Kobe, which I did for years have a problem with Kobe, I'm past it. And so, like, again, like, I'm not saying these things to attack Kobe. I'm saying these things because they're part of it. It's a whole package. But here's the thing. What they did to that girl after that hotel room in Colorado was in many ways worse than what happened in that room. They leaked her name to the public. Colorado now makes it illegal to leak the name of a rape victim. They intentionally leaked her name. They then leaked sexual partners she'd had. They found out that she had been committed at one point in her life for making threats against her own well-being. They leaked that information. They made it clear to this woman that if you want to come against Kobe Bryant,
right,
we will ruin you. And so she let the DA know that she was no longer willing to testify.
Right.
I read an interview post.
No, but I'm saying that just affects the perception of it. You know what I mean? When like Harvey Weinstein's in trial, it's not a civil suit.
Does
you know what
anybody
I mean?
think,
it's criminal
just out of curiosity, does anybody that you've ever met, any rational person, think that OJ didn't kill Nicole Brown Simpson? No. Nobody thinks that. Right. Nobody, right? But he wasn't convicted of it. And that doesn't make a fucking difference. And the day that OJ dies, no one is going to talk about any of the good he did in this world. The very first thing anyone's going to say is that OJ killed 2 human beings, which he did. And so it's funny. There's all these rules about day of for people that people adore universally. But when Michael Jackson died, people mentioned that he had molested children. Yeah. That's something he did, right? When Donald Trump,
I don't know the rules. Are we supposed to say allegedly about all these things?
I don't know, but to me, to me,
it's Avi's podcast.
Well, to me,
that's right.
So here's the thing about alleged.
No.
I'm not. Listen,
well, he can't come back and sue.
Yeah, like I'm not a journalist. I'm not writing in an article. And by the way, if you raped somebody or you molested somebody or you killed somebody and got away with it, but we all know you did it, You're not an alleged killer. You're a killer.
Yeah.
Alleged's for the courts. I know OJ killed Nicole Brown Simpson. I know it. He knows it. His lawyer wrote a book about it. OJ killed those 2 people. He's not an alleged killer. Michael Jackson molested those children. He's not an alleged, and Kobe Bryant raped that woman. Kobe knows it. So, I mean, and that's terrible. It's terrible what happened to her. He was, I do sympathize a little bit with his situation because I don't believe it was his intention to rape her. I don't believe that in his head he felt he was raping her. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean that he didn't rape her.
Right.
And so it is a complicated situation. And I understand people that don't spend the time trying to come to terms with gray stuff. They want everything to be black and white. Can't go through all of what we just talked about. Instead, they just have to decide, do I love Kobe or do I hate him? And if I love him, then he's not a rapist. So they have a problem hearing that he's a rapist. But he is a rapist. And so that's just the reality. It doesn't mean
it just never came up again.
Well, it has recently. So now I
haven't been paying attention.
So finally, after a certain amount of time went by, now the articles have come out. So by the way, Gayle King is being crushed for
which is ridiculous.
So did you see the interview? Yeah,
I saw some of it. I saw part of it.
She doesn't even say anything disrespectful. She's asking legit questions, really legit questions.
And they're kind of softballish, like the way she follows up and stuff. It's not like she was like, well, I know. The one thing she said, oh, you wouldn't see it, Lisa, to Lisa Leslie, a women's basketball player, Kobe champion, women's basketball.
Right.
So Gayle King had Lisa
Leslie,
this friend of Kobe Bryant's, who was a very famous female basketball player.
I should have queued up the sound.
They had her on. Yeah, that would have been cool. They had her on, and basically to talk about Kobe's legacy in his life. And during it, Gayle King asked if it's hard for her, if his legacy is hard because of these charges. Yeah, because of these charges. And she very dismissively says that, like, no, it's not hard for her because Kobe, she doesn't believe that stuff. And then he says,
from what she knows, though. I mean,
she went further than that. So it's funny, Lisa, I just am blown away that in 2020, in a world where, like, Aziz Ansari got crushed for repeatedly asking to have sex with someone who's already performed oral on him, and he got crushed, where we're rightfully crushing people who do terrible things, but not rape, but still terrible things, like Louis C.K. He should get crushed. But in a world where that's what we're doing, I'm blown away that no one is out there going like crushing, not Kobe, his stuff, like, again, it's been dealt with. The people defending him. I'm surprised they're not getting crushed. Like Lisa Leslie says in this interview, well, I would be in clubs with him, and he would never even be like, hey, Lisa, go get that girl's information for me. And other NBA players I've been around do.
Right.
And I've been around NBA players that do that, actually. And it's weird. It's weird to be around. Yeah, it's just weird how, like, brazen, like, their girlfriend would be across the room. They don't know me from a hole in the wall and be like, yo,
go get that number.
I can't talk to her because my girl's over here. Can you go grab that number?
They'll do it at games. Like, oh, let's see that girl in the front row.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes, but this all goes back to the common theme. I don't even know how we got on this topic.
I know.
It's power. It's all about power and the abuse of power.
Sure, for sure.
I mean, and I didn't see the interview with Gayle King. I have no idea. And the only thing that I saw was your comment on Facebook about it. And said to my husband last night, how come it never came up again? And I didn't.
So it is. Actually, it's on the front page of ESPN today, I think, this complicated legacy or whatever. As far as power goes, though, do you remember what what Phil Jackson wrote about Kobe in his? Remember, he wrote a book like a year or two, because remember he was gone from the Lakers and then came back.
Yeah.
So like a year or two after the Kobe rape stuff, his coach wrote a book, and in the book, Phil Jackson says about the rape charges. Hearing those things did not surprise me about Kobe. He has a really hard time accepting not getting his way. And so it fit his personality at the time. Like I don't think that if the girl had said no to him, he would have dragged her into the hotel room or something. I don't think it was that. I think it was, oh, we're doing this, and now I want to do this, and oh, you don't want to? Too fucking bad. And it just sounds like that's how he was at that time in his life. I just think it's crazy in 2020 that this is like that you're the bad guy if you're talking about it.
Right. If you mention
that's
it,
the crazy part.
You
and like Gayle King's getting death threats.
Well, because
for asking questions.
I think it was Snoop that first came out with it, and like Snoop like just trashed her and said "fuck you, bitch," blah blah blah. But it's like because when there's somebody like Kobe who's a hero to a lot of people, regardless of.
By the way, hero to me. I want to be clear. Like, I can have a hero that I also acknowledge did something terrible. Kobe was a hero of mine. I'm saying that. Kobe was a hero of mine. It just...
Yes, but don't you think the act that he did goes against his character. How is that even a statement? If he's such a hero of yours, but then you just spend 15 minutes bashing the crap out of him because he did something that, like, not as just a character flaw, but is criminal, like is just an abuse of power, an abuse of everything that you know.
Sure.
Like if you're, God forbid, someone you cared about, you love, was in that room.
Yep.
Would he? Think about it for just a second, because that's to me where it gets tricky. So, Kobe can be an amazing basketball player with tremendous talent, which he was.
Sure.
He was probably one of the greats.
Yep.
But he can still be character-wise a horrible human being,
without a doubt. And I just think,
and we see that also in business.
So, but I think
course,
a
but
lot
I
of
just think
times,
he changed.
he definitely. I don't know if he changed, but all the stories that came out after, like him, like doing these Make-A-Wish things, like he was like second to John Cena doing all.
He had a good PR person that said, "Listen, we got to change your image right now."
No, that's a big part of it.
No, but there were a lot of times though. I've read stories that like he would not want press about. There was a kid named Kobe in Utah, I think it was, who had cancer, and he came through and he said no press, like literally just came out because he died, and and his mother, the kid died like a week later. He's like, the only picture I have of this kid had cancer, smiling, was when Kobe was around. That was it. And that was.
And you're not going to tell the poor
ago.
child who's dying of cancer, oh, by the way, your hero is a rapist.
Yeah, of course.
I get it.
I want to be clear. I wouldn't have said that. Like, there are lines. I wouldn't tell that kid.
Right, wouldn't tell that kid. But
I wouldn't leave him in a room alone with him, either, especially if his hero was Michael Jackson.
Well, the Michael Jackson story is very interesting to me because I never even watched that Neverland
didn't
story.
watch it.
Did you watch it?
No, I did not.
I started it. It kind of sucked.
I don't really want to. You know what? Part of me doesn't like. I remember growing up listening to Michael Jackson. Right? I don't want to watch a movie that talks about how. I mean, he went he was crazy.
Yeah.
He went nuts.
Sure. So I think, to answer your question, like, how can Kobe
Yeah,
still
how
be a
can
hero
Kobe-
of mine?
yes.
It goes down to why, like, I do believe the stuff about Michael Jackson, but I also do love his music, and he's an icon.
But you wouldn't put his poster in your living room.
No, but I'm a grown-up man. I don't put Kobe's poster in my living room
Listen,
either.
but or like you would have an open conversation with your children if, like, all of a sudden Kobe, made this
Of course.
Right?
So I think for me, and this is just my opinion, but for me, what works is I have the belief that all of us, like, I don't know that you've done anything terrible. But if you have, and I'm sure you've done things that I would disagree with, things that maybe you would disagree with. So there's a great line. I'm trying to remember who the singer is, but he's talking about his life, and he says, I've done a lot of things I'd probably never do. And it's a great, it's Darius Rucker. He says, I've done a lot of things that I'd probably never do.
Darius Rucker.
Is that Hootie?
Yeah,
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah. So he said, I've done
were
a
the
lot
shit
of
in
things that I
1993.
Wait, I could talk about Hootie and the Blowfish.
He's great.
He used to have some fun with a roommate of mine in college.
No
Oh, really?
shit.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you go to
No way.
college?
So I went to UNC Charlotte.
Like, what would they go, like, to basketball games together or something?
No,
Like,
no.
49ers? Is that what
no,
they
I
are?
don't think the 49ers were playing at 3. The 49ers, we were Charlotte 49ers. They weren't playing at 3 o'clock in the morning.
How old was Hootie? Was Hootie older?
No, he's my age. Like, so what am I? I'm going to be
Oh,
48.
cool.
He's
So
got to be what? How old's Hootie?
This is
probably about
probably
the same.
pre-Hootie,
Can't
right?
we? No. Yes, this was Hootie and the Blowfish existed, but they played at like the college bars.
Yeah.
They did a lot in Charlotte,
And sometimes in your roommate's room.
and sometimes he was in my roommate's room
Dope.
doing a little.
Well, I just remember when I went to Northeastern.
Serenading.
The reason I asked about his
Did you-
age was,
Yes.
I remember when I was at Northeastern that everyone on campus knew that Bronson Arroyo,
Yeah, Bronson Arroyo.
used to go into freshman dorms with girls, and it was like such a weird thing. It was like, this dude plays professional sports. But then again, interesting thing about Kobe. Do you know how old Kobe Bryant's wife was when they met, became engaged, and got married? 17 years old, was a high school senior, and Kobe was 21 years old, making millions of dollars playing in the NBA. Again, this is the stuff that, like, no one wants to talk about, but like, there's some weird shit there. That's all I'm saying.
It's weird because I think when you deal with basketball players, and I do have some experience with basketball players, you have like a just
Not like Hootie and the Blowfish.
No,
Okay,
not
cool.
not
The way you said it.
Charlotte 49ers, they're D1, Avi.
no. Yeah,
Who is?
now it's really
UNC
tough to
Charlotte.
get into. It wasn't when I.
UNC Charlotte? Oh,
Yeah, UNC Charlotte's tough.
Okay.
Conference,
I'm a UNC Chapel Hill fan.
Conference USA.
Just 'cause of
Did you see
Jordan.
that game last night?
Wait,
Oh my God.
wait, it went into overtime. I watched it for the first time, even though I was totally annoyed.
Okay.
Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah, right.
Right, in North Carolina, they went into overtime, and that three-pointer at the end,
Yeah.
before they went into overtime, then they went into overtime, and then I forgot what happened.
Duke won again on another.
Like
Duke
a
won.
crazy ending. Yeah, like a
Okay.
missed free throw, tap out,
Okay.
hit it, throw up an air ball.
Fucking hate Duke.
Alley-oop kind of
I
thing.
was North Carolina all day, and my daughter, I have no idea why, and my husband was like, no, we're Duke. I'm like, no, we're not Duke. We
old's
are
your
North
daughter?
Carolina. She's 12.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, does she go
No,
to? No,
she's
okay.
12.
Is she gonna want to go to Duke now?
No.
Okay.
Can we afford Duke? I don't think so, but no.
Maybe maybe she'll be like scholarship type. You know?
She's a.
Does she play basketball?
She is 75 pounds, very little Jewish girl. I don't think we're playing basketball.
So you know what's funny though?
I know Jews started basketball.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I wasn't going to say that. No, you know.
I know
funny?
one in this room does.
What's funny is that if you're,
You can't play basketball.
I know what's funny.
He can shoot.
I can play basketball. What's funny
Can
is
he play well?
I can shoot well.
Okay.
What I think is funny
When
is,
no one else is on the court.
and I'm a good. No.
I like this girl.
That's not fucking fair at all. That's not true at all. Don't make me. Anyway,
We're gonna
I'll
go
tell
outside
stories.
after.
No, I'm not gonna.
Instagram Live.
Now I'm going to go find out what terrible things you've done, and I'm going to talk about them on my
No,
podcast.
so I will talk. Wait, so let's talk about this. So when I went to Hartford before I went to UNC Charlotte.
Okay.
And
Jeff Bagwell went to Hartford.
I went with Vin Baker. Vin Baker
as well, yes.
was at Hartford when I was there. So Vin and I were very close.
Sad story with Vin Baker.
Oh, it's
His
so,
life went sideways. Yeah.
It is, but now he's doing well. You know, he manages a Starbucks down in Connecticut.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. I think
but
it's
you can
some-
see,
I
like,
think someplace at
but
Boston
think
College,
about
I
what
think.
I mean. That's
So he
awesome
was
to
like-
hear. But
he
think
was-
about how,
Oh.
like, think about what we're saying when we say that he's doing well. He's managing a Starbucks. Like,
He could have been doing so much better. I don't know what happened with him because when we were
He's an
very
alcoholic.
Well, yes, but when
Okay,
we
yeah.
were close,
What you said.
he was not a drinker. You know, his dad, his dad's a preacher, owned a church in Old Saybrook.
I don't
So
know
he
any
came
of
from a
this
very
he's from Old Saybrook. Yeah.
he's from Old Saybrook, came from a very religious background.
went to a wedding in Old Saybrook.
We were very close for 2 years when we were both at Hartford. They were grooming him. He was incredible.
Yeah.
And then he was the eighth pick for the Bucks,
Yeah, something like
right?
what he was.
And then I left Hartford in '92 to go down to Charlotte, and that's when things got really hot and heavy for him, like basketball wise.
So do you think it was you? Do you think you were the cause?
I was the
catalyst?
cause.
Like you left, he couldn't take it, and
He
he
couldn't
just
take it
turned to
anymore.
booze.
He just started boozing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's actually really sad.
It's very
Do
sad.
you still talk to him?
No, I Googled him because I'm curious,
Yeah.
and I noticed that there was a whole article written up about him and managing.
Well, why don't you try to
Starbucks and
reconnect?
stuff. I should drive down there and scare him.
Are you from Connecticut?
No, I'm from Canton.
Oh, you're from Canton. That's
But
right.
I
Yeah,
went
that's
to
right. You were saying that
Hartford,
before.
then went to UNC Charlotte.
Gotcha.
But my point about basketball players, okay,
Okay.
because so Vinny and I were very tight, is that they all had this. It's entitlement's not the right word, but and Hartford at the time was 5,000 undergrads. It was a very small school, so basketball was like. It was it, right? Like, and this was the time that like Scotty Burrell was playing for UConn. So this was like,
Yeah.
geez, I'm really aging myself.
No,
aren't
I got
But-
you.
cool.
Right? We're
Yeah.
close to the same age.
Yeah, sure.
Am I the oldest one in the room?
Maybe. I don't know.
Corey
I don't know
and
how
I
old
are
you
the
are.
same age.
I'm older than
35.
you're not 35.
I'm 30.
35.
I'm 36.
Oh, he's older than I am, so I'm the youngest one.
Oh my God! So I'm 48.
That's
So
okay.
do you remember like UConn basketball?
See,
with
I was
Scotty
going to say
Burrell?
you're 35 too.
Yeah,
I
and, so,
think.
and
Yes,
then,
we are the same
and then
age.
his
1990,
wife went
right?
to
Scotty
UConn,
Burrell?
and she's a lot older than us.
Your wife went to UConn.
She's not a lot older. I just say that to her
How
all the
old?
time. She's older.
No,
but I just fuck
she's
her. A couple of years older. It's
not even.
Like Alonzo.
I just said that to
like,
give her a hard
what's
time.
it,
She doesn't listen to
morning
this
when he played
podcast.
for Georgetown. That was like all the
Yeah,
basketball
that was
time.
96.
Yes,
right? I think
90. No, it was like
95?
92, 93.
Oh, morning. Yeah. I was thinking Allen
Right?
Iverson.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is that they ruled the school, right, for lack of a better word, and this
Sure.
is what they're groomed
Yeah, he
to
put
be.
them on the map too, Vin Baker.
Oh yeah, Hartford on the map
You
for
know,
sure.
yeah.
But like, think about that pressure. And this is no excuses for anybody, but like he legit was like he was big time. Yeah. So they come in with this very sort of like attitude, like probably Kobe did at the time when this whole rape was going down. It's like I'm Kobe Bryant, I'm Vin Baker, I'm Scotty Burrell, I mean, they have this sort of like way about them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like you
Scotty
said.
Burrell
I
didn't
know
turn
they
out
have
as
this
well.
way.
Well, you said it about business earlier too,
Yes.
right? It happens a bit. We talk about these people because they're famous and
Because
they're
they're famous
athletes
and we
and
can
they're
talk about
celebrities.
them and they're not going to call us.
Yeah, right. But I'm sure you guys in business, you deal with it all the time.
Yes.
Avi, you're not the powerful one, are you?
No, I deal with powerful people.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
What about you,
sometimes-
Melissa?
Sometimes I feel
I
bullied.
can't believe you're 35.
Yeah.
And look at what you do.
I look a lot older than that.
No, I like you're just so I admire you. You are very well read.
All right,
you
come
speak
on.
your
Listen,
minds.
Listen.
Am I
We're gonna have to wrap this podcast up if you keep talking like that.
Why is Corey so butthurt when people want to say nice things to me?
Butthurt? Did you use that phrase?
Did he use the
I
word butthurt?
Yeah, he
don't
did.
know
I
what that
know.
means.
Yeah. See,
Are you watching? What are you watching on TV these days on Netflix? Do you
Dead
have
to
time?
Me. I just started Dead to Me. You guys seen that?
No.
Yeah, that was like last year. Where have
Was
you
it?
been?
I never heard of it. Yeah, I started
The one
other
with
day.
Christine Applegate.
Yeah,
great series.
I'll
I've
check it
seen
out.
3 episodes. It's pretty fucking
Okay, I'm gonna
good.
check it out.
It's great.
I've been on like a kick watching some like kind of some terrible shit recently, but I
What?
like stuff I like. Like, have you seen this? I think is it Good Girls?
Oh, they're suburban moms and they like rob banks.
That's funny. That one's funny.
That's funny.
I watch. Like the thing is that my wife and I both like one of us falls asleep undoubtedly.
Well,
So we're just in this spin of like we watch like the same episode 4 times in a row to match up whichever one of us fell asleep. I don't know. And I don't know. I've watched a lot of like one-offs, like some stand-up. I watched the Aaron Hernandez thing.
Oh, I watched the Aaron Hernandez thing.
That one was good.
But we missed. So we watched the beginning, and then I watched the last. So I didn't realize that my Netflix was running in the background.
Sure.
So when my husband and I came back to look at it, I was like, oh, okay, that was pretty quick. We missed like the entire whole section of the middle of like the fact that maybe he, had some homosexualities, and I missed
There's no
all
maybe.
That.
There's a dude who
But I
says
missed
they used
all
to
of
fuck.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed all.
So again,
of that.
alleged. Let me get back to that. If
Allegedly.
there's a dude that says, "Yeah, we used to have sex," then it's not alleged anymore.
See,
now all of a
the
sudden
problem
it's-
with that, I mean, just in
Are we
general,
gonna get
I
back
don't
to
know.
famous athletes?
I know. Apparently, we're back to famous Connecticut high school athletes. That's what we're doing today. Vin Baker,
Are you
Aaron
from
Hernandez.
Connecticut?
I'm not.
No,
Yeah,
He's from
That's
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
that's right.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, that's how. By the way, that's actually their state motto, Rhode Island.
I don't have. I mean, Rhode Island's. It's a good state.
Is it?
You got the beach.
Exactly.
It's like a
you got the
suburb.
beach.
It's like a suburb.
I mean,
of,
it's so small.
Yeah, but it's like
and
you know
Connecticut.
what? I'll take
There's decent
I'll take Rhode
restaurants.
Island in the summer over the Cape any day of the week.
I like the
Narragansett.
Cape. I like
Oh
the
my
Cape.
God.
You love the Cape?
I
Yeah,
said I
but-
like the Cape. I did not say I love it.
Where do you go on the Cape?
Mashpee.
That's not really the Cape.
What is it?
That's like the beginning of
You
the
do have to
Cape.
cross the bridge.
It's
It's
That's
like
it.
half of Canton goes to Mashpee. That's where they all go on a Poppy Beach. That's where they go.
Yeah, we go to. My in-laws are in New Seabury,
Yeah. So yeah,
but they're not. They're from Jersey. Who knew? You know?
I mean, I like Narragansett.
Yes.
I would rather have a house
I didn't
down in
realize Canton
Narragansett.
goes down there. I
All
thought
of
Sharon
Canton.
goes down there. See, I'm a kid from Sharon, so we think of Canton as like I don't
Bullies.
know, not as
I
Bullies.
find it fascinating that you don't really have much of an accent. Have you noticed that lately? Like they're making, like especially for the Super Bowl, right? Did you see the Hyundai commercial?
I actually didn't watch it because
the Super Bowl or the Hyundai commercial?
the Hyundai commercial.
Oh my God, you have to watch the Hyundai commercial because it's fascinating to me because
It's
you have
stupid.
Chris
It's stupid
Evans.
as fuck.
Right?
Okay, but listen, you have Chris Evans, right, who's from Lexington or
I
Sudbury.
no clue.
Okay, you got Rachel Dratch, who's from Lexington, and then you've got Krasinski,
Oh yeah.
and he's from
New.
Newton.
Okay.
Okay, so you know people from those towns, right?
Sure.
Do they sound like they're from Southie?
No.
No.
Never.
Okay, so
Yeah,
then
but
you
know
then
what
you get the commercial, and I'm like, they don't. That's not even how they really talk.
I know. It's so over the top. I'm like, I just saw it on social media like a couple days before the Super Bowl. I'm like, this is gonna be stupid. I'm not watching it. And then last night it came on TV. I'm like, fuck. I saw the commercial. I
And
was
you
trying to
watched
avoid
it.
it the whole time.
I thought it was funny that they did a Hyundai commercial that took place with Boston actors in Boston during the Super Bowl, and the Patriots aren't even in the game.
Yeah. Well,
Like, think about it. It was like a reminder.
oh, that's true. Yeah. And Poppy was in there. Which,
Right.
By the way, that story went away. Speaking of famous athletes,
Yeah.
What is he doing now?
I don't know. He almost
He
died
works
apparently.
I know
and
he
then-
works for the Red Sox in some capacity.
But he got shot in his own country, right? His
Yeah.
own place.
I mean,
his
he doesn't.
home.
He doesn't technically own the Dominican Republic, but
Right.
he probably kind of does.
He's,
Right.
he's like the
Yeah.
owner.
No. Yeah. He was shot there, and then it turned out that they were aiming at somebody else.
Really?
But I'm just saying, like, how
That's the story.
how has there not been more follow up on this story? Like, that would have been I can't believe that's a huge story. Maybe because it didn't happen in America, that's not that big. But
No,
like,
I think the Dominican. Then they had that huge scandal of people getting like really sick drinking from the mini bars.
Oh, that's
I think
true,
they're
yeah.
trying to squash all the bad press because their biggest industry is what?
Tourism.
Besides baseball players,
Yeah.
is tourism, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So why are they going to talk about how he got shot?
I mean, it's a Boston story. I mean, how does nobody want to know what actually happened to David Ortiz? You know
Well, I
what
think
mean?
people did want to know. I
But
think-
all right, we're the journalists. I'm saying
Clearly, he's okay.
probably-
he's gonna. He has to have 1 million contacts in his phone of journalists, or journalists have his number. You know, like you got to find out. Somebody has to find out.
I'm not a big baseball fan, so I can't follow this.
Okay.
Well,
Do
it's
you
more.
like baseball?
It's
I
more.
like, yeah, I
human.
like any sports. I
Any
like
sport.
anything, to be honest. I like stuff. Like I just
Like soccer,
yeah, like soccer.
big soccer.
Yep. I wouldn't say big soccer, but aware of soccer. I
Aware of
follow.
soccer.
You know, I follow.
Okay. What's your favorite team?
For soccer?
Yeah.
United
like
States of
international?
America.
No,
International.
I like watching Brazil play.
Okay.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! You can't say Brazil. You're a
That's what I
fucking
like to watch.
American, Avi.
No, yeah.
If you said Israel, I would give you like a 10%.
I don't know.
Cool.
Is the
You
Israel
have to
soccer
say
team
America.
that good? They did pretty good last year,
They're
didn't
good,
they?
but they don't qualify
not
for
like-
the cup.
No, they suck. They suck.
They don't suck.
But
They don't suck.
I-
Like,
I
they're
had-
just listen.
What
they're-
goes
they're-
on in Rhode Island? Let's talk about
They're
Rhode
just
Island.
listen. They're just not. They're just not. So the United States, like the United States soccer team. First of all, the United States has 330 million people.
Yes.
We should be able to field a great soccer team.
Yeah.
They're all playing
I'm
football.
not going to rip the American soccer team now. I root for America in the cup.
Okay, yeah, well, you can't say Brazil's my favorite team. Well, like, oh, wow.
No, I said. So did play it back? What did I say? I said I like watching Brazil play.
Yes.
I root for, like, if Brazil
I
played the
said,
U.S.,
what's your
I root for the
favorite?
U.S.
All right,
Like,
there you
I
go.
want the U.S. to win, but I don't enjoy watching, as a sports fan, watching American soccer. It's a brand that bores me. It's kick and run soccer. I enjoy watching players that keep the ball on their feet. That's what I enjoy watching.
Okay, yeah. No,
So that's what I like. But I wouldn't root for Brazil against the U.S. I root for, it's laundry. I root for our laundry.
All right, there you go.
It's better. He clarified.
Why?
that.
Who's your favorite swimmer? Is it an American?
Yeah.
What about your gymnast? Are you a big
Mark Spitz.
big American
If you
gymnast?
can even- if you can
Simone
even-
Biles, for sure. Yo, go.
I mean,
keep
yeah.
going.
Small,
Okay.
Oh my God, he can do that. I was
course,
like,
yeah.
I'm literally scrambling in my brain.
Listen,
going,
I am a sucker for the Olympics. I'll watch fucking anything. I don't care.
Oh no.
USA, USA, USA.
That's because he's from Rhode Island.
Wow, you guys didn't even start it. That's
I wasn't gonna start chanting USA on my podcast, Brody.
wow.
Anyway,
No.
That's fucked up. All these people listening and be like, "Wow, this guy really does hate America."
I don't hate America.
He's
I
like
don't.
a double
No, he
agent.
does not hate
he's,
America.
He's part of
we
Mossad.
had Jared Callahan on, and he said about Andrew Yang. He said, well, he seems like the only Democrat that doesn't hate America. So that's kind of count for something.
Have you been watching? I mean, do we want to get into politics?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so have you been watching the Democratic debates? Did you watch the other night?
I didn't see the debate. I watched the town hall the night before.
Okay.
Joe Biden. So
I like when
watching-
Joe Biden fights with Bernie Sanders. It's hilarious.
but watching Joe Biden
Is he alive
talk-
still?
No, not really.
I wasn't-
When you
Bernie or
watch-
Joe?
Joe, but either.
When you watch Joe Biden talk right now, I'm sorry, no objective person can say that it's any better than watching Trump speak. Like, it's not. Joe Biden's just as lost. He's like, he rambles. He says things that don't make any fucking sense. They asked him what kind of cabinet he would want to put together. And he said, I think
Maple.
IKEA.
No, yeah, exactly. He said, I think just like when I was with Barack Obama, the most important thing in our cabinet was, and it will be for me, that we have a cabinet that's diverse and represents America. So we need some colored people.
No, he did not.
Then he said some homosexuals and women. I'm like, time out.
Oh my
You should.
God.
The answer is we
What?
want the very best people for the job. That's what you say. That's the answer, right?
Oh,
and you say regardless of. But you literally just said, like, that's like, so if you come in for the interview, you're the most qualified person, and they're like, he's like, I just have to ask, like, which way do you go here? It's like, oh, I'm heterosexual. Wait,
Isn't that-
like
I guess
never,
that's-
not once? What about like one time in college? No, only ever been hetero. I'm sorry, the job. This one's really gonna go to a gay person. I'm sorry. Like that's like what the fuck are you talking about, Joe Biden? Like what the fuck are you talking about?
None of them are
That's-
serious. None of them are
No,
serious.
that's the kind of thing in 2020. You go out and you find the gay person or a minority. You put them in that position and you act like you didn't know. Oh, are they a gay man that fits my agenda? Who knew? You don't come out and say, to be honest with you, we're going to look for some black folk, some of the homosexuals. I'm like, fuck are you talking about, Joe Biden? You're such a fucking weirdo, man.
A little crazy. It's
He's
going to
a
be
weirdo.
interesting. This
He's
year's
like
going to be
80.
interesting.
He's old.
Can
He's old,
somebody
yeah.
please?
How old
He's
is
old.
Bernie Sanders? Like legit.
78, yeah.
I think he's like 78.
So he's like a year and a half or 2 years older than Trump, maybe.
He just had a heart attack.
Bernie did or Joe?
Bernie.
He just looks
2
like
months
he's
ago.
gonna like Ichabod Crane. That's like kind of what he reminds me of. He seems that.
I saw something.
like Bernie,
I
but
saw
I'm not
something
gonna vote
great
for him.
on Twitter the other day. They said, it was a video of him saying like, we need to, we have the system of racism, blah blah, going off on one of his rants, right?
Right.
And somebody said, well, somebody didn't do a very good job in Congress for the last 30 plus years, I guess. Which I thought was, like these guys that are in government forever, and then they run for president, like Hillary, and they're just, What am I gonna? I have to say everything sucks, but I've been in government this whole time.
And you've been right, like.
Why'd you try to change the system then?
Yeah.
Your husband was president.
Where have you been?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting though,
Yeah, I mean,
and the debates are definitely entertaining.
I don't. Do they even have any more? Because now,
I don't think
now that
so.
it's like voting like every week.
The
probably.
Democratic, the debate that I briefly watched, it was very entertaining.
Yeah,
It
I mean, I think it's all boring as fuck personally, but.
See, and I find the
Somebody
Olympics
against Trump
very
will be
boring.
very interesting, but like when they're all up there and they all agree basically on everything. You
But
know
they
what I mean? It's like-
they agree, but then they don't because they have to put their own spin on it, and then it just gets very. And I'm like,
So to me, that's the
know.
ugliest part.
Yeah.
Is when it's like, okay, look, we all sort of agree on the basic values for our country. Although, I mean, nowadays, I don't know. But So now we just have to rip each other. Now we just have to make attack each other and shred each other.
And then we're not going to help each other based on whoever gets elected. They all go away. I'm going to pledge to working, across the aisle. Okay, well, where you been? Where you been for the last 4 years? You haven't reached across the aisle. In fact, you've been doing worse than that. You've been,
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying, to me, the Democrats, and again, I don't consider myself a Democrat, but I've only voted for Democrats. So to me...
Is that because you're from Sharon?
I get a text every time.
Yes, if everyone from Sharon votes Democrat. Actually, everyone from Sharon probably does.
In Massachusetts, it's very Democratic.
Hold on,
but I think of Canton as Republican. I think of Canton as Canton's super blue collar Republican.
No, I totally think Canton's way more on the Democrat side.
Yeah.
My in-laws are from New York.
Okay.
And they are Republican.
Okay.
Hands down Republican. And then they yell at me that
they probably have money. So to me, I've always said, if you want to see somebody a Democrat turn Republican, give them a big check, and if you want to see a Republican turn Democrat, lay them off. Everyone just votes their way.
But you're a small business owner, so I mean, from a business perspective, I'm sure you weigh in.
So I would say this is the first election where, for me, I'm finally, I have kids now, and so I think I have my ideals. So Bernie speaks to a lot of my ideals. I do believe that everybody should have a roof over their head. Everybody should get an education.
Yeah, but how? I mean,
go, Corey,
that's
go.
Not. I mean, what do you mean? Everybody. That's regardless.
Everybody should work.
Everybody should have a roof over their head. Who doesn't believe that?
So can I finish my thought then?
Wait.
How is Bernie going to achieve that?
How hard do you work every day?
I work really, really hard.
Every day,
every
Avi,
day.
you work
7
days a week.
Yes, I work hard.
40 days.
Every podcast it turns into Avi works so hard.
I get it. Avi works hard. Okay.
Avi works hard. So think about that for a second. You work hard.
Sure.
And but everyone should what?
So here's one of the things you're gonna push me further left now, because here's my thing. I don't know a person that works harder than me, and yet I still look over at someone who has nothing and I go, and even if they're fucking late, even if they're a junkie, my feeling is something led to that moment for this person.
Agreed.
And I feel for them, and I go, you know what? If I can, I'm going to give a little something to them.
Agreed.
I give money. I make it a point to give homeless people money in front of my children because I want them to learn that's the way the world should fucking work. And when my kids ask me, my dad will be not my dad, my son will be like, Dad, why'd you give that guy $5? And I'll say, because I had it and he didn't, and I didn't need it and he did. That's why. So when people that work 45 fucking hours a week have had a pretty vanilla life, they're doing all right, they can afford a couple vacations a year, and then they think that puts them in a position to complain about these free fucking loaders. To me, it's funny because it's yeah, but then you got laid off last year, Joe. And when you got laid off last year, you filed for fucking unemployment, didn't you? And you didn't feel like a scumbag doing it, right? You didn't. You took your severance package and your unemployment and you sat for 6 months waiting for a fucking job. And you weren't looking for just any fucking job. You were looking for a job that met all these criteria that you had. And you didn't feel bad taking money off the public dole in order to sit there and make your life decision. You don't view yourself as some scumbag being fed by the crazy liberals, do you? No. You feel like a human being who's doing what's right for you, and that's fine. I'm with you there, but don't turn around and do that to other people. So to me, I just find that people that work a lot less hard than me have a lot of judgments and a lot of opinions. My in-laws, my father-in-law is a brilliant guy. I mean, he's just brilliant. He's a metallurgist by trade. He's got 86 U.S. patents to his name. I mean, he's just fucking brilliant. And he's now in a position in his life. I mean, he's accumulated some wealth, and now he's got a job that's great. When he should be retired, he sort of is doing this thing, and he's got money and he's got means. And I've learned a lot in the 17 years of knowing him kind of about what I think the world should be like, because here's somebody who by every measure should vote super conservative, who he should begrudge every homeless person. He should feel because almost everybody in this country that's taking is taking from someone like him who's paying all this in taxes. He lives in New Jersey, so he pays $25,000 a year in property taxes. One time I asked him if that bothers him, and he's like, no, I enjoy living in a good world. And so if I have to contribute what I have to contribute to that, it's fine with me. And I watch how his politics are so liberal, way, way further left than mine. And I admire the fuck out of it because I go, here's somebody who he actually does. All these people that are here and want to bitch about the people that are here, just let that phone go, that just sit here and want to bitch about people here. He's here. And he's okay with you. He's okay with Joe that took his fucking unemployment for 9 months because the jobs he got offered just didn't quite fit what he was looking for. And no one wants to bitch about that person. We all want to bitch about this make-believe welfare mom who's out there having kids so that she can get more money from the government. And fuck that shit. It bothers me. So, no, my ideals line up with Bernie Sanders. But this is the first election.
His policies aren't going to achieve your goals, though.
Okay,
no,
that I agree with.
We have to invest.
That's why I said my ideals.
Listen, I agree with what you're saying, Avi, and I 100% believe that, if you have it, you share it. Like it takes a village.
You help people who can't help themselves.
You help people who can't help themselves.
Sure.
100% is probably my number one. That's the bit. You help people who can't help themselves.
Okay.
But I want the choice. I want to be able to decide what that's going to look like. And I want people to invest in programs. I want the government, the Democrats or Republicans. Nobody seems to be really investing. There was a quick blurb on Alexa today about something with a mental health bill that's going to pass. Okay. What is that even going to look like? That is a big problem in this country, right?
Yeah.
That leads to a lot of things.
But deep down, one of the reasons for that is that I said I agree with Bernie Sanders' ideals, and someone like Corey attacks me for that. Like, who doesn't think that everyone should have a roof? I'll tell you who doesn't. A lot of fucking people in this country don't believe that.
I don't think he attacked.
On its surface, a lot of people say, no. Some asshole junkie, fuck him, he doesn't have a roof. It's like people with immigration. Everybody says, no, I'm just against illegal immigration. I'm just against illegal immigration. I go, okay. So here's somebody living in El Salvador, right? Wife gets raped. Fucking kids are abused. You're worried MS-13 is going to take your fucking kids, and they can't just walk into an embassy and ask to be able to come over here.
No, this is a problem. This is a problem.
So, yeah, but and you know what's funny? The people saying I'm just against illegal immigration. Those people aren't there out fighting for better immigration policies for South America, are they? No, it's coded language for I don't like brown people coming to my country. No different than saying whoa. I'm not with us just giving out all these entitlements. It's coded language for I want to keep all my fucking shit, and I don't like people that are of a certain class. That's just something that bothers the fuck out of me.
Entitlement system is broken. If you make so much money, you have to get off welfare, right? So what does that do? Incentivize people to not make money.
Agreed.
So it's broken. So
right.
Their solution is to just throw more money at the problem, right? But it can't help. It can't help.
So Corey, have you ever met anyone?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever met anybody who says I don't like the way the current welfare system works? No. People say,
what do you mean? Yes,
I don't like welfare. That's what they say. I don't like welfare. Avi Shemtov does not like the way the current welfare system is. When I was in real estate, I took a woman out one time who had a Section 8 voucher, okay? And I spent like 3 days with her trying to help her find an apartment. And I got to know her, over 3 days kind of decently. She had gone back to school, and because, we had to qualify her financially. So, like, all that stuff counts as income. So she was getting $86,000 a year between housing vouchers, welfare payments, food stamps. It was all totaling $86,000 a year. She had gone back to school. This woman didn't come from really anything, and she didn't have any education at all. And she had gone to school, and she got the degree needed to go become a paralegal. So she wanted to go become a paralegal, and she went, and the job only paid $40,000 a year. So she came to the conclusion, she had 3 kids. I can't afford $40,000 a year wasn't going to keep her living in Boston with 3 kids. What the fuck was she going to do? So she literally had no fucking option but to stay on the path she was on, and she was legitimately unhappy with that situation. And she told me, she's like, if they would just give me the 46, I would work for the other 40.
Right.
And if people forget, but that was a Clinton thing. Bill Clinton was trying to implement that. But the problem is that people on one side are like, fuck welfare, and then the other people are like, give everybody everything. And there needs to be more people that say, look, can we all agree that there should be a roof over everyone's head? Okay, let's not argue about that point. Let's just acknowledge that. Okay, yes? Well, now let's talk about how we do that. We can fight about the how. So, again, Bernie Sanders' ideals line up with me, but his policies do not, and this is the first election.
And the way of getting it done is not going to happen.
Agreed.
The way
You
he does.
You say his ideals. What ideals besides having a roof over somebody's head? And
he wants health care for all.
Maybe 10% of people
I
would
think
not
every
agree with that.
single person in America, every single person in America, I'll say it one more time, every single person in America should have health care. I believe that. I believe that's a right. I believe that's a human fucking right. I believe the idea that you can get sick and die of something that I wouldn't because you don't have is fucked. And I have people that work for me. There's this segment of the population that's like they have just enough to where they can't get any help, but they don't have enough to really afford that shit. And I think
so. You think the government should run all healthcare?
A single payer system.
So again, you are doing exactly what I'm saying.
You have to talk. Yeah, but you can't just say, my ideals are this. My ideals are that.
Yes, the fuck you can. So start here. Don't go to another step yet. Do you believe that
everybody should have health care?
Okay, cool.
And if they go to the emergency room, they're going to get fucking fixed.
And Yes, and that's
or they have to go on the exchange.
Don't make me into a Bernie Sanders supporter on this show right now, but I'll tell you this. Bernie Sanders is smarter than you, and he's smarter than me, and he knows that what you just described is the bane of our existence financially in this country. Because you're right. They will walk into the emergency room, and they will get fixed. And who the fuck pays for that, Corey?
Yeah,
you do, and I do, and you do.
Exactly.
And instead, if we had a one-payer system, which, by the way, I am not a fan of,
how could you be a
fan?
reasons?
But
how could you trust them?
Yeah,
How can you trust the government to run that?
Wait. Let's get back to the healthcare thing because I was in healthcare for a little while.
Sure.
It is absolutely true. They go into the emergency room. They go into the emergency room to get treated. The other part of that is
that just became a law like 15 years ago. There were people that used to die.
The system is so broken. It is so complicated for people to figure out how to get health insurance. So when I was in pharma 15 years ago, and this all in Massachusetts was sort of the birthplace of Romney Care.
There you go.
It was and you talk to the healthcare workers, you talk to the physicians and the nurses. They were like, they're trying to do this, but it doesn't. It's not working. Yeah. People are still coming to the emergency room, and they're still coming to the emergency room now. So where is the education around helping those people physically going to their house? You don't have the resources to do it.
But so if you were in pharma, then you know. I mean, I don't mean to patronize.
You can bash pharma.
No, I mean, I'm gonna. I'm not. I'm going. Of course, I am. But first, I'm not. I don't want to be patronizing. I just think it's good for anybody listening to us to know how this works because I didn't always know how this works. So the way that pharmaceuticals get paid, the way that insurance companies operate, like there's those drugs, those treatments at hospitals, they have a sticker price. And insurance won't pay it. They pay a percentage of it. And so then the sticker price gets raised so that they pay a percentage of that. So they get, and there's this game going on all the time between hospitals
and insurance companies.
Okay. So
the same procedure costs like
so the problem is when Corey
prices.
so when the problem is in the system that Corey's advocating where someone with no insurance just walks into an emergency room and that's how they get treated. That's how they get treated.
No.
That's how they get treated.
It
sounded like you were advocating for it.
He did say they walk in the emergency room and that's
no, because he's saying that no one gets service.
But Corey, that person had testicular cancer and it could have been treated for like $10, but instead we let that person almost fucking die, and then when they walked into the hospital, we just said, fuck it, we'll pay it, and we'll pay the goddamn fucking sticker price on it.
But wait a second.
That's the best part.
Talk about that one person for a second that hasn't done any preventative health care at all.
Well, they have no money. They can't.
That's a lie. There is a lot of people that in this country that have money, that have means, and they just don't go to the freaking doctor.
Okay.
So we're paying for that.
Sure.
We are paying for that. We're paying for the person that has prostate cancer and decides to not get it treated immediately and to the point that they're now on chemo.
Sure, but here's the thing.
Listen, Obamacare is like, they could get Obamacare now.
Okay, Obamacare is a different situation. So
what do you mean? What is your argument? Okay. I have no clue.
The argument is that the insurance companies and the pharma companies are the ones basically that are the reason that healthcare is the way it is.
So listen, Romney Care and Obamacare are exactly 180 degrees different than giving people insurance. They're forcing people to purchase insurance. There's a difference between those two things. So
it's not free.
They can't be further apart. One is saying, hey, how about if we standardize, because here's the real problem, and this is where we get to pharma, this is where we get to insurance agencies.
Insurance companies are the devil.
They're horrific. They literally profit in people's misery.
Yes.
And the more that they can have people suffer and the less they can do about it, the better off they are. One of my best friends, his wife, who's an amazing person, she's cool and she's brilliant, but she works in that industry, and she'll come to me and she'll like show me paperwork and be like, look at this new thing that we're rolling out, and she's drinking the Kool-Aid at the company and she believes in this shit. And I say to her, that's literally what people that hate your industry say you guys do. Like you're incentivizing generic drugs because it's cheaper, not because it works better. Not because it works better.
Right.
You're incentivizing. So our doctor was telling me that that literally he gets bonuses if you just don't come back. So he's like, really,
his report card, through the insurance
which is
companies.
bullshit. So he's like, and he said to me, he goes, I just ignore all that shit because to me, I swore to be like to do this for people's benefit, and to me, it's crazy as fuck to be like, okay, well, I've got this tough patient who like isn't really gonna take care of themselves. He's like, so instead of getting through to them by making them come back week after week after week, I just tell them to come see me in 6 months because I know that like actually in my life, it doesn't affect me financially if they just die, and it's their fault. They're choosing to ignore this. He's like, it's not my job, and the insurance company doesn't want me to make them come back every week. But I make them come back every week, and he's like, and that hurts my report card. But I know if I don't force them to come back every week, I'm going to see them in 6 months, and it's going to be too fucking late. Yeah. And that's the problem is, financially, we're incentivizing bad medical care. Now, if it was all under one umbrella, and again, I have different reasons why I'm not a fan of the one-payer system.
The government does nothing efficiently.
So that's a great reason. That is a big reason. Yes. Listen, if you've ever been to an RMV, I don't want to go to the fucking... I've watched the RMV run, and it doesn't... I don't believe that they can run healthcare. But I will say...
They can't even...
That financially...
Who won the Iowa caucus? I still don't even know.
That's pathetic. But that's pathetic. Do you, from time to time, vote Democrat?
Wait, why do you think I'm a Republican?
I don't know if you are or not.
Okay, so I'm independent.
Okay, me too. Same.
Yeah, I'm independent.
So that's why I asked the question. Do you ever vote Democrat?
Yes.
How can you not be terrified? I vote Democrat. I voted Democrat every time I've ever voted, except for like in-state stuff and all that. But nationally, I've always voted Democrat. How can we not be terrified right now of trusting that party? Like, what the fuck? They stole the primary last time they're literally leaking debate questions. And now they just had a caucus that they can't fucking count votes on. Maybe it truly is just a fuck up. That's totally possible. But when
you're talking about that electronic thing with the app on the phone.
That's what they say. But here's the thing.
Where was that? That was in
Iowa.
In Iowa.
But the crazy thing is, there were lots of like precinct leaders that the people that actually had to phone it in.
Yeah, right.
That said like we were all forced to keep this on paper. Like as a backup, when the app crashed, we had a phone number to call it in, and we all did. So in theory, these people, the app should have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, then they wait on hold all day and shit like that.
But here's the thing,
that's how you get health insurance in this state.
No, exactly.
You have to wait on the phone all day, and
then you find out afterwards.
And then it's very confusing.
Right, and then you find out afterwards that they've taken as many as they can take today. Try again tomorrow.
Right, try again tomorrow. So and by the way, you're going to pay $1,500 a month for.
My wife's a teacher, so I get that one-payer system, and it's great. And I have great health insurance, and I just sometimes wonder like why I can't. By the way,
wait, you were a teacher?
No, my wife is a teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was also a teacher.
Listen, there's a difference. There's a difference.
I'd be a terrible teacher.
There's a difference between, a single payer system and a public option, right? I have no problem if there wants to be a public option.
We have a public option now. It's the exchange.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's expensive.
Yeah, of course it is. It's expensive. See, I think just in general, I have very complicated feelings on this. I think if I go to the doctor, right, for my physical every year, I think I should just pay that out of pocket. I think that should be listed on their website how much that's going to cost me, right? But I should get insurance for fucking cancer or a heart attack or a car accident like that, like
surgery. I get
insurance on your house, right? You hope to never use it. You still pay for it. You hope to never use it, right? Health insurance is the only insurance that we expect that insurance to pay for everything. Right, a physical,
and then we
blood
get
work, whatever.
Right.
Not routine stuff. You know what I mean? You don't pay. You have a broken window at your house.
Do you have dental insurance?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wait a minute! You just said it. Yeah, of course. Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about the dental insurance because this is the first
mean?
year. This is my second year that I did not. We don't have dental insurance.
Whoa! What?
I know.
That's craziness.
I pay cash. I pay out of pocket for the dentist.
Shit.
But so by the time
you're a risk taker.
But I am a risk taker because my kid had 4 cavities and that cost me about $1,000.
Wait till you get braces.
Well, we just finished one kid with braces, but like, here's my thing.
Finish the kid, or the kid finished
the
braces?
Kid finishes braces.
They're like, we're paying out of pocket now. We have to get rid of you.
As soon as the kid got his braces out, they're like, "Fuck that, we're not paying."
But not having dental insurance is something that like is not that big of a deal. What do you? I mean, if you think about what you're paying for your dental insurance, and then what it costs you to go to the dentist, is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's what I just think in general.
That does make sense.
There's no reason that the same treatment should cost.
It's the same?
No, I said I'm with you.
Yeah.
That actually
do you have
makes a lot
dental
of sense.
insurance?
I do, but again, mine probably dirt cheap.
And you're with the teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Sorry,
but just in general, the same thing costs drastically different prices, right? Like across state lines and all this, and then they have to go to the government, and there's no doubt in my mind that the bigger it gets, healthcare that the government is running, there will just be so many people with their hands out, and it won't be sustainable. There's no way it's sustainable that the government can control healthcare for 350 million people.
Can't they regulate it?
Listen,
the government cannot
regulate
even
it, right? And then 4 years, there's a new president, there's a new Congress, they get rid of those regulations, right? Then I'm all for deregulation.
When's the last time? Out of curiosity, when's the last time either one of you heard, presidents change or whatever, heard like of public transportation, which is private? Or
private.
Or
How is it private?
Amtrak's a private company.
A private company
that just regulated.
billions in subsidies from the government.
This is the point. Can I get to the point? You're
jumping
company.
ahead, Corey.
And you're making your whole thing is like, I make sense, and then you jump ahead to try to counteract it. No, I'm making a very important point here, Corey, that we already do regulate industry. We regulate cable, and we regulate internet, and we regulate public transportation, and that seems to be going perfectly fucking fine.
No, there's a difference between regulation.
Have you taken the tea lately?
So the T is the city is regulated. I'm talking about the federal government. When's the last time?
Why should we pay for it? Why should Amtrak get subsidies?
So I don't think they should. I would like Amtrak to not be subsidized. But there is a reason why. I don't like it, but it is a reason why. And I can get to that in a second, but my point is, the reason why is because they would never lay track in Wyoming. They would never.
Right.
Same thing with internet.
100 years ago.
So 100 years ago. So by the way, I mean that's the thing. To go back to the whole entitlements thing.
They would stay where they're profitable.
So to go back to the whole entitlements thing and stuff, again, the things that the crazy subsidy, like we live in one of the most expensive parts of the country. We subsidize the shit out of a lot of states in indirect ways.
Right.
Like in Wyoming or North Dakota, Comcast cannot operate profitably. So the government regulates them, doesn't allow, like me and you could come into a $30 billion inheritance somehow tomorrow, and we can't go open a cable company. They're not going to just let us open a cable company. And the reason is that way Comcast can take massive advantage of us over here to make up for their losses over there in Wyoming.
So everybody can get cable.
So we already have a health insurance cost problem. We could start by regulating it. We could start by saying to Blue Cross and to Harvard Pilgrim, we could say, hey guys, let's how much they can charge is not all that regulated. And the point is, we could start there. We could start with pharma. We could tell pharma, like, here's the rule. What is it? We could do cost-based. And it could be multipliers of 100 for all I give a fuck. But you can't, like the dude Scarelli there, can't acquire a drug and then just multiply it by, you don't believe that shit.
Pharma bro, baby.
I'm torn on the pharma piece because I'm on the healthcare piece. I'm kind of on both pages here. Okay. But the pharma, it's still it's a business. Listen, it's going to sound...
Should it be? Should it be, though?
What do you mean, should it be?
How is somebody going to create a drug to help patients with diabetes and not make money? The money it takes to bring a drug to market is 25 years in the making.
Okay, I'm with you there. So here's the only thing.
Right?
I'm just thinking of something similar in my head, and I'm following you. I'm like, how could somebody get a bunch of people, train them, arm them, and have them keep our town safe and just not make money on it? But yet... law enforcement, fire, all of that stuff, the things that we need in order to keep our lives safe are all things that are not, quote unquote, for profit. Why can't pharma be that? Why do you go into a business to try to save human beings' lives? And why does it have to be a business? It's a crazy industry. It's a crazy industry.
But there's a shitload of diseases and somebody has to do it. That's why.
And especially rare diseases. Like the money that you're making on a cholesterol lowering drug is, you would hope, and you would think in certain companies, like I came out of the Sanofi Genzyme world, that money is now turned into helping rare diseases, because that is a very not profitable space at all.
So today there's a very good guy on the Cambridge Police Department who actually was involved in the forensic team when why am I blanking on his name now? The officer that was killed.
Sean Collier.
Yeah, Sean Collier. And now, you know what he does for a living now? He goes through, like on the internet side, he's tracking down people with child porn, okay? And that we see problems. When it comes to like law enforcement, we see problems and we apply public funding to it, right? We have budgets for that, and we go and solve them. So child pornography wasn't the problem. It became the problem. We said, let's go solve that. You could do that no differently with pharma. You could go, oh, we have this new disease we need to go stop. Now let's go do that. The fact that it is a business is a bonkers thing. It's bonkers that someone can acquire a way to keep human beings from dying and then make profit on it. That's crazy.
But they don't start that way. They start and say, they look at a problem.
Do you know
like
how
Alzheimer's.
much it costs?
Listen, Alzheimer's, right? So there is if someone could create, and Amgen's been working on it, and they failed at one point. Now they're coming back.
Yeah,
if there's a way that you could make a drug that's going to help patients with Alzheimer's. It's been going on for 25 years.
You know how many billions have gone into Alzheimer's research?
I mean, it's insane. So why should those scientists and research people and companies? I'm not talking about the fancy drug reps and the cars and the expense. I'm not talking about all that.
Okay.
That maybe we can take away and figure out a better way to deliver.
Okay. No,
deliver the message. But at the end of the day, hold on.
Go for it.
Those people should get freaking paid. If I'm a scientist and I went to give me a school. Where do I go?
Northeastern.
I went to Northeastern.
But Melissa, people that work at nonprofits
yes
get paid.
Yeah, but they don't get paid Do they get paid?
Yeah, sometimes they get paid.
Okay.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
the
sometimes those
scientists-
charities don't wear shit.
Okay,
Yes,
right. But my point isn't. I'm not saying the scientist or the employees or even the drug rep shouldn't get paid.
I'm talking about the research
I'm saying at the
people.
end of the year, the company should break even at that. They should, after paying everybody, fuck it, give those
But
people
the
more
mo-
raises.
it
But there
costs
shouldn't be like, oh, we've got $1 billion left
and
over.
Billions
Yeah,
of
but
dollars
listen.
to bring a drug to market. It's not something that they're like, hey, I'm in my basement.
Avi, you have no understanding about how many of these pharmaceutical companies fail.
Yeah, thank you.
It's stupid
Corey, what is
number
your
of-
background? Were you in drugs?
I do some work for Big
He's
Pharma
in
now.
2
Oh,
drugs.
you do. See,
I do some
they
production.
they bring so many
Yo,
compounds.
speaking of regulation, they have
So when
regulation.
they fail,
Oh,
what happens
such
there?
regulations.
When they fail, what happens there?
So
They
the
run out of
10
money and go bankrupt.
Yes.
Like any other business.
Wait, they do what? They do what? I'm confused. They do what? What is this thing you just mentioned? They go bankrupt. Is that like a magical thing where they just go like, oops, and they just put their hands up in
No,
the air?
no.
Oh, is that a thing where like taxpayers bail them the
No,
fuck out?
No,
No, what are you talking
No,
about?
when they go bankrupt. So how does bankruptcy work?
So they close their doors and they try
Yeah.
to find another compound to
but what happens with
develop.
all the money that they
They lose it all.
No.
You know how-
what happens with the money that they don't have that they owe to people? That's what bankruptcy is, by the way.
Investors.
So bankruptcy is not
Investors?
Investors lose their shirts.
They lose the money.
So they don't declare bankruptcy then, to be clear.
What do you mean?
Well, because bankruptcy
Okay,
is
all right,
bankruptcy
so-
is like a cute
so-
word, but it
so-
also is actually a legal term that literally means you go to fucking court and you say to the court,
Yeah,
"I
here's
owe
my
people
asset."
money and I
Right,
can't pay
right,
it."
right.
And you know how those people get paid? Do you know how that gets paid when the court
No,
rules?
they don't get paid.
The taxpayers pay it. That's
No.
literally how that works.
So let's not call it
Yes.
bankrupt. Let's not call it bankruptcy.
Yes.
Let's call it they
go out of business.
They close their doors.
That's
let's
different.
call that
Okay,
they
either way.
failed. They spent 10 years looking at one single compound.
Okay.
They put it through trials. They gave patients they got them into clinical trials. They made patients feel like this is going to work, and then it fails.
Listen, the only way that it works for government, which another Andrew Yang proposal here.
Do you
Generic.
you were Andrew Yang.
He's a huge
Andrew
Yang guy.
Yang.
But he's like, where's he getting the money to give to everybody?
He's actually the only one with a plan. He's the only
one.
one with a plan.
We
He
have
wants
So
to-
he's giving $1,000 to every person
Every
every
person.
month.
You get it, Melissa.
Every person over 18.
for every month.
Yeah, every
Yes.
month.
How is he giving you $1,000?
You have it. We already have the money.
So then put it to healthcare so these poor people with
No.
Alzheimer's.
What would you rather have? $1,000 in your pocket or healthcare? You can buy healthcare with $1,000.
I would rather have $1,000 go to every.
You don't have any kids, Corey. You don't
Yeah.
understand
Oh,
that you
you have no
cannot buy.
children?
You
No
can't
children.
buy healthcare for $1,000 a month.
Yeah, but you can get it through your job, or you can get it.
That's different.
Wait a minute. I'm an
You
independent
get Obamacare?
contractor. If I didn't have my
Me too.
husband, I would not have health care.
Me-
I'd have to
me as
pay
well.
for it.
Me as
Sure.
well.
See?
Same exact scenario. But listen, we have the money. It only costs $1.8 trillion to give everybody $1,000
Okay,
a month.
so do you think throwing money at it with Andrew Yang's theory, throwing the money
No.
at it's going to fix it?
Well, no. Listen, here's the deal.
Can I say
we
that?
already give?
Yes.
We already give
I
the
have a
money.
There's a good reason.
Listen, hey, you want to talk about everybody needs a roof over their head? $1,000 a month should do it, right? It's right behind you.
Oh, he needs his orange juice.
1,000. You know, if you want a roof over everybody's head, hey, if you get $1,000 a month, you should have a roof over your head, right?
No. Do you know how much rent is?
In Shitbum, Wyoming, it's a lot less than $1,000.
Yes, but in Rhode Island, it's probably about $2,400.
No,
in Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island, no.
In Canton, maybe.
In Canton, it's $2,400 a month.
Yeah, no. So, all right, but back to the Andrew Yang proposal on pharmaceuticals. So, listen, Avi, you don't understand.
By the way, if
it
I wanted
costs
to be a dick like
years
you,
and years.
I would sit here and counter you, even though I agree
Go.
with you.
You don't
and
have
just
an argument, though.
And just blow holes in your shit, but I'm not going to. 'cause
Listen, generic drugs that have already been approved, right? The government could get in the business of making generic drugs affordable for everybody.
Right.
Once, I think you have 10 years or 20 years, depending on what the drug is, before it becomes like publicly available, right?
Can you finish your Andrew Yang point?
So no, that's the point. He said we should make generic drugs that are already approved. The government should just open factories and
Or
make
the
those
drugs
generic
that
drugs.
are already generic, like Teva is a
You know-
huge generic company. Those that should
They
now
shouldn't
be,
make billions of dollars on a generic drug that's like everybody needs
But
for low
again-
cholesterol, but they make billions of dollars. That's over the line. But Avi,
Is it?
you're very naive
They
about
still
how
have
much
to
it
feed,
takes.
but they still have to employ people.
No,
right?
no.
So you're so take Teva for example, because they do have a huge generic.
Of course, yeah.
I understand the idea of like, well, let's take those generics, put them under the government, and then everyone gets the drug. But those people that you are now employed, that are employed by Teva, still need to have a roof over their head, still need to feed their families. So
Melissa-
that's how they make a flippin' living.
Yeah, but
Melissa,
the government
do
shouldn't
you-
subsidize it.
And now maybe I am.
Do I
trying to
sound like a Republican?
Maybe I am trying to sound patronizing right now. Do you know how a nonprofit works? Like, do you know what the laws are around that?
No.
So you're allowed to pay people. You're actually even allowed to pay them well. You just cannot turn a profit. So at the end of the day,
So you have to break even.
So, for example, this company, Teva, you said Teva?
Teva.
Teva. So
They're
Teva,
an Israeli company.
awesome, very cool. Israel's more technologically advanced than
Here we
the
go.
Seven Coast
Watch
Countries.
Avi do it
But
180
anyway,
real quick.
No, fuck that. Listen, so Teva, okay, can look at it and go, okay, these are our expenditures. This is what we need to charge in order to make it work. And then this is what we need to charge for that extra so that we can give blah, blah, blah scientists a raise so that this person can have their nice car and their nice house. All those people, they can work for a nonprofit. That's fine. They just can't do that and then turn excess profit that they just sit on, that they pay back to investors. They can't do that. That's the part that they couldn't do if they were a nonprofit. And that's what I'm advocating. I'm not suggesting that anyone that works there doesn't make a living. My mom works for a nonprofit. My mom makes a good living.
What is her nonprofit?
My mom works at Family Service Inc. of Rhode Island. So she's like the...
a savior.
Yeah, but she's she's a social worker by trade, and now she's, for the last decade or so, she's been on the programming side. So she's a senior VP at this company. She was there when they started with like 15 employees. Now there's 500 of them. There are people that work there that make good livings, that have good lives. This is a good job to have. But the company can't sit down and say, okay, we need to sell that drug for $11 a pill to break even. We could sell it for $17 a pill and and be a healthy company. Let's charge $42 a pill because these people dying need it. That they couldn't do. And that's the regulation I'm talking about. I'm not suggesting that people in the company can't make money.
No, it's heavily regulated, though. You don't understand.
Then how is it
regulated.
that some of these pills can be charged so much fucking money for?
Well, Martin Shkreli's in jail, isn't he?
Not for that.
No, for insider trading.
Yeah,
Because they're negotiating with the insurance company and everyone has their hand out.
Yes, no, listen. I mean, some companies are evil. That's the bottom line, right?
Right, so you regulate that.
There's a lot of regulation. You know what? One regulation, speaking of pharmaceuticals, we don't have that every other country has.
What?
Commercials, those drug commercials that you see. Mm-hmm. That's not legal in other countries.
Good, I like that too.
That's one where it's like, all right, well, you could probably do without those commercials.
But I
telling
love
me all
those
the side
commercials.
You like watching two old people sit in
I
bathtubs?
The side effects.
Can I ask you a question? First of all, why are they
Sitting in the bathtub?
sitting in and two different bathtubs? Like, is somebody like...
Wait, which one are you talking about?
You know, like
The
I feel like-
Cialis commercial.
Yeah, they're like, what does Cialis do?
Cialis.
Cialis
It's
is
sexual something,
Viagra.
right?
It's
Okay,
like
that's what I thought.
Viagra.
Okay,
It's
so-
a competitive Viagra.
That's what I
There
thought.
you go. Healthy competition.
So they're like, hey,
Very healthy.
do you think that there's a chance that while you're sitting in this bathtub next to another bathtub that another person of the opposite sex is in, then you should pop this pill just in case somebody decides to switch bathtubs. I'm like, why the fuck? Who the fuck has two bathtubs and who bathes near each other? Like, what the fuck is this?
It's like in Vermont, like they're looking out like this beautiful like scenery, and they're in two tubs. And
That commercial should be in a.
I don't even think that commercial's still on.
That,
is
com-
it?
that
I'm
commercial
not
should be in a
sure.
gym
I don't know
shower, one of the open showers.
The best commercials is like, you take this pill and you're going to feel so much better, but you could have nausea, headache, vomiting,
Yeah.
dizziness,
Yeah.
diarrhea.
Right.
Don't go to dinner on Tuesday nights because you could be.
Oh, there's so many of them now. I mean, I don't know how we get on the big pharma talk, but
Because you love Big Pharma.
no,
Corey
I
O'Leary
just
loves
don't
Big
think the
Pharma.
government should be running everybody's healthcare. I just do not trust the government. Any money that the government wants to give me back.
So wait, the government does run healthcare. It's called the VA, and look at how well that's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
really
That's
shitty.
another one.
It's really shitty.
That's another
That
one.
and that's horrible.
That's
Agreed.
I always
So
said,
what if they're
hey, you
doing
wanna
that
dump-
and they have their opportunity to do something well? And
Do you know what Donald Trump said on that issue?
No,
It's the only thing he's ever said that I was like, wow, that's a great thing to
because
say.
you're
and
not a
does
Trump
it.
fan.
I have a brain. Of course, I'm not a Trump fan. Like, you can't be you were talking about Kobe earlier. You're going to talk about, that guy is a fucking moron and he's a terrible person. But he does some things that I support, and he's our president, so every day I wake up rooting for him. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I hope he fails today. Like, his failure is our failure.
Right.
I'm going to root for you, Don. But here's the thing that he said during one of the primary debates during the last cycle. He said, you cannot call yourself the greatest country in the whole world and have homeless veterans. And I agree with that.
I
I'm
agree
like,
with
I
that.
think it's shameful. I actually am one of these people, and I have to be careful when I say this, because this guy's going to cut me off, and then it's going to look like I hate veterans. I do not hate veterans. I support veterans. I appreciate their service. Here's what I think America does. America,
He's taking a knee right now,
not
guys.
all people.
Is he taking a knee?
No, not all people that are in the military are from poor backgrounds or are uneducated. That's not what I'm saying. There are lots of brilliant people who choose to go into the military. However, our military, like any great nation in the history of the world, tries to send the sort of the lowest to the front lines. It's just what every imperial nation has done forever. And so we prey on people in situations where the military is maybe their only option. And then we do this cute thing where a couple times a year we salute them and you buy them a beer, right? But we abandon them when they come back over. So to me, I think we should trade that off. Like, look, I appreciate your service, but like I'm not going to just give you this perfunctory like appreciate your service, man. Should I buy you a beer? But I am going to advocate really, really loudly that if I'm a big proponent of if you've ever served on foreign soil wearing our uniform, you should have health care forever.
Yeah.
Forever. If you enlist
which they do, it's called the VA.
Which is garbage. I'm saying you should have Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever forever. We give it to our teachers. We give it to our, like the government has employees they're giving it to. That person's an employee of yours for life. They went over, they put a uniform on. They are the reason that we can have crazy arguments like this shit, why we can yell at each other, why Congress can fucking scream and yell at each other. They should have health care for life, especially because what they're about to go through for you and your bullshit is going to damage them in some way. It could be physical, it could be mental.
Right.
They're going to need.
But you say they want Blue Cross Blue Shield, but like
why not just improve the VA?
30 minutes ago you said, healthcare for everybody run by the government.
So no, okay. First of all, I said that I am not. You twist things around. I said I am not a fan of the single payer system. However, I do believe
a public option
that there
if you
are benefits.
Have a public option,
and
sure.
when I say Blue Cross Blue Shield, the point that I'm making is VA is not insurance. The VA is very specific insurance that works at certain places, VA hospitals, and that's the logjam. So the point is when Sarah or Tom go and serve overseas and they come back over, they should get health insurance like a congressperson does, like a government employee does. Health insurance that allows them to go to the same doctor I go to, and it just gets paid for by that company, by that insurance company that the government's paying for, instead of the insurance company that you make a payment to or I make a payment to. The VA is not health insurance. It's a very limited option in a very specific places, and that creates the logjam because you take this segment of our population that is predisposed to have the most issues and you shove them in the same place, and that's backwards. I mean, it's basically, it keeps our system free flowing, but it makes these poor folks who, a lot of whom made a decision because they kind of had to, right? Recruiters literally go into your living room and sit down with you and say, listen, you're not going to be able to afford to go to college, but we can help you. Oh, hey, listen, with grades like that, you're having problems in life? Well, we can help you become a man or a grown woman, and we can do these things. And then you find yourself in Afghanistan because a president, and I'm not saying a Republican or a Democrat, the last few presidents we've had, regardless of party, have not served. So the reality is somebody who never served is going to make decisions that send some young woman or young man overseas in a situation they're going to come back harmed from. And then as a country, we owe it to those people to, at the very least, provide them with care the rest of their life in the form of insurance.
Another thing that literally nobody disagrees with. Everybody agrees with that.
Well, except that actually, so this is what I'm saying is when you say the macro point, and then, yes, people agree, but there has to be more of, okay, let's start with just that bullet point. Can everyone in the room or everyone in the country agree on this? If so, then we can agree that needs to be the solution. We can argue about how to get there. But the reality is there's lots of people that don't agree with what I just said. And that's another issue. So
I don't know about that.
Except, well, listen, so this is, you can tell Kyle, hi Kyle, you can tell Kyle that I said, or maybe he'll hear it here, that that's an issue that my left-leaning friends consider me conservative on, because actually a lot of people on the left view that as, well, no, let's just not send soldiers over, or no, let's stop recruiting soldiers. I accept that those are necessary. I say that on the flip side, in the words of Donald Trump, you cannot call yourself the greatest country in the world when you have homeless veterans. And it doesn't matter if that homeless veteran is there because they drink or because they do drugs, or we have to accept that they went over there and they made a sacrifice so that we can live our lives. Like, I didn't go to the military. You didn't go to the military. We had the opportunity to go to great schools, come right out at a young age, go make mistakes professionally and learn, and get to 30 years old with a career that we can pay forward. We didn't go give up 4 or 5 years of our life or more to go to the front lines for this country. No. And someone that does needs a leg up. And that's a reality. But no, not everybody.
I got another idea, another Andrew Yang idea. How about when they're in 10th grade, we start them in a trade school instead of pushing them towards college that they're never going to go to?
There's not a person in this country more in favor of trade schools than me.
Andrew Yang. This is like an Andrew Yang podcast.
We didn't even mention
not,
his name.
But so do you not like Andrew Yang?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to, like, I don't.
But
really
do you
know.
not like him?
I like him. I just don't know much
Listen,
about
here's
him.
the thing.
I'm
You said
not
this
really-
thing about $1,000 a month,
All I
right?
know is $1,000 a month.
Of course, that's what everybody knows.
All I know.
So do you know where he wants to come up with that $1,000 from?
No.
So there are companies like Amazon, like Google, that don't pay taxes. There are loopholes.
Right, of course.
He wants to skip.
Trump's done the same thing.
Except, right. But so here's the thing on Trump there, is that Trump, I agree with Trump on this too. Trump says, as long as the loopholes exist, I'm going to use them.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you file your taxes every year, do you try to pay money do you try to pay more in taxes than you have to? No, you try. So that's all Trump did. His point was we should close the loopholes, and he's right. And what Yang wants to do is instead, let's just avoid the loopholes. Let's tax their innovation, and then just split that up with everyone. So basically, acknowledge that every member of this this country, as a group, let's say, right, like as if we were a company, is part of the culture that created your opportunity to do these great things. So we're going to tax you for that, and then we're going to divide it up. And actually, his economics work out on a really interesting, very cool, very forward-thinking way, which is that for you, $1,000 a month probably isn't going to make a real big impact. For me, it might not make a crazy impact. But for someone who's living very, very hand to mouth, $1,000 a month might prevent that. So that they might not show up at the emergency room with no health insurance that we now have to pay for.
Right.
The economy might boom.
There's one study that says poverty costs America $1 trillion a year.
Right.
Makes sense.
His policy only costs $1.8 trillion, right? And that's only I think it's $1 trillion of welfare would be like people would just get off welfare because now they're getting $1,000. Like you could either choose.
Do you think he has even a shot?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out on Tuesday, I think.
So I do, but so I don't want to. I'm not trying to put pressure on you here, but I'm going to put pressure on you. You know what he needs to have happen? He needs people to stop just like going Andrew Yang hot and listen to the policies. You need to do the research. Like at the end of the day,
no, he's not. He has.
Andrew Yang is the most viable.
I need to research a lot.
As far as actual policy goes, Andrew Yang. So I keep saying like I'm baffled. I will not vote. I will not vote for Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. And so I'm baffled by what Democrat I could even vote for because there a lot of them. So again, this is my first election where I'm taking my business into consideration.
Yeah,
and like Bernie lost me on the 15. And by the way, it's irrelevant to me because Massachusetts is going to have a $15 minimum wage. But Bernie Sanders being on this whole like workers first thing,
he wants
fails
a
to understand how a business
federal.
works.
Right.
He says federal jobs guarantee. Tell me how that's going to work.
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
What does that mean?
I don't know. What
He's
do
like,
you mean?
we need more teachers. We need more cops. We need more. I'm like, oh, so what? So you're going to hire teachers to work in federal jobs guarantee? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I'm in agreement with you there. But so my point is,
This
so I
is
started.
the most intense political conversation I've ever actually had.
We haven't even
Well,
talked
And
politics.
I live with a Republican.
I love it. So I started looking up Andrew. So I started looking up and trying to understand Andrew Yang's policies. And there's a couple things I like about Andrew Yang. One is he seems to me, in my judgment, to be the only one who is willing to figure it out and pivot if he's wrong. And then also the policies he has are based on real common sense solutions to problems. And so unlike Bernie, unlike Elizabeth Warren, he doesn't have plans he doesn't know how to pay for. So when you say like, how's he going to give everybody that $1,000? Before he brought that up, he came up with this is how we're going to pay for it.
He's explained this a million times.
And then he can explain to you why it actually saves us money. So to me, I do think that
He's a viable option.
So I think he's viable in the same way that if you look at how these cycles work, so it's like Obama or Bernie last time, who should have been the nominee. There's Elizabeth Warren isn't going to stay in when she's at 18% at a certain time. She's going to drop. Her voters are going to have to go somewhere. Same thing with, this whole, like, it's going to come down to, like, two of those
Who are the
people
top
maybe.
two Democrats that are going to be
We'll know on Tuesday.
And so the reality is that Andrew Yang
Hampshire
is in this till the end, and so he's going to collect those people. And the reality
he's financing this himself, right?
No. He's got
He's got backers.
He has like 400,000
like
small
just
donors.
like Bernie last time. Like a lot of people,
exactly.
like you go and give him $20 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the thing about a candidate
He's
like
not.
Yang,
He's not rich. CNN or MSNBC. Someone called him like a billionaire. He's not a billionaire.
No.
Like
He's not wealthy.
No, he ran.
Wealthy.
He's owned businesses.
Yeah.
But he's not. No, he ran a nonprofit that created thousands of jobs and stuff in inner cities. It's like he's almost
he
like
has some money. Like he's not broke or anything. But
he's a millionaire.
Right. Yeah, he's a millionaire. But so anyway, the point about how that's going to work is so Andrew Yang is going to be in this till the end, and he's a lot of people's second choice. And then I think what's going to happen is, especially in a primary where like Andrew Yang doesn't have ideals that are polarizing. He believes in the things, to Corey's point, we all sort of agree on. And so as people start to drop out, people like yourself are going to be forced to do the research because you're going to go, well, if there's only two candidates and I can't really get with either one of them, like you'd really consider Yang if all you were left with was Bernie and Warren right now, and you'd go, well, let me read up on this guy.
Yeah.
And so what Yang is going to appeal to is people's real actual understanding of the policies once that starts to happen. And then I also think at some point we're going to turn our attention to who is the least scathed and who can stand in the ring with Trump. And the reality is Bernie was a viable candidate, probably isn't anymore. Biden would get sledgehammered by Trump.
Get slammed.
So the reality is, if you look at who's running a race where he looks like he can come out and go, I'm ready to go toe to toe with Trump and stand a chance, is Yang. And one thing that Yang actually said during the town hall the other day, and I didn't research this, so this is what Yang said. I didn't verify this, but he says that there's a popular poll out there that shows that 18% of college-age Republicans say that they would vote for Andrew Yang as their first choice. And so there's a lot to be said about the fact that there's no other Democrat that's going to get any Republican vote. So the reality is, if we put anybody out there other than Yang that's up on that stage, at least right now, and Bloomberg's not yet really in it, so I don't know, whatever. But the point is, of the people that are up there right now, any one of them goes up there, and you can forget about the just below 50% of America that already voted for Trump. They're angrier than fucking ever. And then a lot of people that are in the middle, like myself, have been pushed. We've been pushed not far enough for me to vote for Trump, but far enough to where I'm like, this is bullshit. The impeachment thing was embarrassing. At some point, you're just trying to reverse democracy. You've spent 3.5 years trying to negate an election you lost. Right. You lost the election. The day after that, instead of protesting out in Washington, you should have been trying to figure out how to work with this guy to make your country better.
Right.
And instead of doing that shit, Democratic leadership laughed in our faces when they made jokes, probably privately, saying, well, we just bought ourselves 4 years of blaming. No one's going to hold us accountable. Fuck you.
The funny
At the
thing
end of the
is,
day, you should have been out there fighting for us and our kids. And instead, you put on the pink hats and you went to Washington and you marched on the guy. That guy was your leader. We elected him. We lost. I voted for Hillary. I'm not proud of that, but I voted for Hillary. We lost. So at the end of the day, the next day I woke up and I said to myself, well, I hope Donald Trump's a great president. My wife said, I hope he fails. And I said, babe, I hope he succeeds. I hope he succeeds, because if he succeeds and our life is better for it, then we'll be great. And instead, look, I don't like the man.
But listen, 3 years ago,
but he's our president.
Democrats are wailing, oh my God, what's going to happen? 3 years later, nothing's happened. The country still goes on. Truthfully, it probably doesn't even matter who the president is, right?
To some degree.
It does.
It is more local politics.
But
the immigration shit is ugly.
I got in a fight with Avi and his wife about, we're going to be in a war with Kim.
Did he just say he got in a fight with you?
Yes, Kim Jong-un. They're telling me we're going to be in war with North Korea.
He needs an argument. It wasn't a fight.
He was like, I got into a fight. He was in the parking lot.
I almost threw him off a balcony. I think it was something like that. Yeah, fisticuffs. Yeah.
So I came here to talk about why there's no good restaurants in Canton.
Oh, tell me that. So you feel
Transition.
like,
and we spun this all into a big pharma bash.
How did this happen?
I don't know. But we were like 20 minutes on Kobe Bryant, and then he's a rapist.
Well, so one thing about the podcast is like we not everybody will know like the Canton restaurant scene, but I'd love to talk about it. Why are there no good restaurants in Canton?
I don't know, and it's upsetting to me.
So
it's upsetting to everybody.
So can I ask you a question? And I mean, we're on this, so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I was under the impression, you don't really want to rip any places, but you realize you're ripping all of them when you say there's no good restaurants, right? Like some restaurant there just heard that and was like, well, you just said we suck.
Let me rephrase. So there are some.
I love a couple restaurants in Canton, personally.
Decent restaurants.
I love Big D's. Don't cut that. Do not clip that.
Trivia.
I love the Ponset Cafe.
Trivia and pizza.
Okay, I love their pizza.
Hey, today's National Pizza Day.
And I just
you heard that?
Today is National Pizza Day. What's your favorite pizza? Because there's some good pizza in Rhode Island.
I like
and good donuts.
Well, in the city, I like pizza.
Well, in Rhode Island, they don't make pizza. Don't they take these squares
Woody's
of bread?
Grill and Tap on Hemingway Street.
Pino's?
Pino's,
yeah, in Brooklyn.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Pino's Pizza. You never had it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's dope.
Is it like Italian?
Cleveland Circle.
Yeah, it's thin crust Italian.
Okay.
Cleveland Circle. Woody's Grill and Tap on Hemingway Street
in
Boston.
Woody's, and it's good.
Caserta's in Providence.
So you love Woody's. I love Big D's.
Yeah.
It's Big D's is like town spa, right?
Yeah, better than spa though.
I don't like the town
You ever been
spa
to Linwood?
Pizza. Yeah, in Randolph?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dope.
Yes, that's good pizza. But I like more New York style pizza.
So what's your favorite restaurant in Canton?
That's a loaded question.
It's the Junction, isn't it?
It is not the Junction.
Not the Junction.
It's not the Junction. I have to go to the Junction after this. But it's not the Junction.
My favorite place to drink beers.
Are you going to eat? Are you going to eat
I
food?
am not going to eat. I don't even think I'll drink. It's Listen, I think Canton has a great bar scene.
Okay, it does.
It has a great bar scene, and
it's super eclectic. It's actually, I just saw a ranking the other day. It was Vegas, Nashville, and then Canton slid in there like just above Atlanta.
Something like that.
Like you could stand in the center of Canton, throw a quarter, and hit a nail shop or a bar.
Yeah.
So I can get my nails done and I can have a good drink.
My professional food service career started in Canton Center.
D&E Pizza. That's good pizza.
Yeah, actually it is.
That's
I do
pizza.
think D&E is good pizza.
D&E, Chris Albert, good pizza.
Cool place. Yeah. Chris is a nice guy.
Chris is a great
Good
guy.
dude. Yep.
You know what I do like? I do like Ruda's.
Oh, the juice bar?
Yeah.
So here, I can't support them.
Yeah,
I can't support them. I had a funny run-in with them years ago.
I like.
She's crazy. She's just out of her mind. And
Which one? The mother or the daughter?
I mean, the mother is
The
probably
mother
like,
owns Amber.
Yeah.
And the daughter owns Ruda's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at that selected meeting where they pulled their permit. The mom owns both of those.
Okay.
They opened Ruda's because they didn't. So here's what happened. I went there with this idea. This was when the Chickpea was in Canton Center.
Right.
So
Which was where now is Fit Fuel, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think, or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
Fit
place
Fuel
is
was
holding on there.
What was
yeah.
that horrible lobster
I was
burger
gonna say, wasn't there a
place?
lobster
Yeah, I know.
place
I
or
know that
something?
guy well.
Yeah, that guy went out of business
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
There's no parking.
When
you have a restaurant in Canton Center, there's no if there's no parking,
listen,
you're going to drive.
D&E's been there 25 years and killing it. So
Yeah, he does a great deal.
Yeah, but anyway, what happened with me and Amber was I wanted to move. This is when Centerfields, which is now Waterfall, was available.
Okay.
So I spoke to Marino. I think we're John Marino.
John Marini.
Yeah, Marini. Sorry.
He built half a Canton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I spoke to him because at the time that was his.
Yes.
He owned that, and he had like bankrolled the guy at Centerfields, and the guy owed him a ton of money.
Marathas.
Yeah. So I reached out to him, and we kind of kicked some ideas around, and I said, "What do you think about Amber Road moving over to you, taking the liquor license?"
I
and
totally remember this story.
Yeah. So I went to them with this, and I said, I spoke to the husband first. And I said, I can't, and he loved the idea. He thought it was fucking brilliant. So he said, "Can you come over here and meet with my wife?" I said, yeah, that's cool. So I came over there, and we go out the back. We go outside the back door, me, him, and her. And she closed the door, and she's standing this close to me. She lights a fucking cigarette up. So first of all, she's smoking a fucking cigarette in my face. But I just said, yeah, I'm like, I'll buy your space from you for whatever it costs you to move there. And then you'll have this giant restaurant because you're only busy 2 fucking days a week, but you need to maximize that. They're a great brunch place. So, I said, okay, cool, let's go do that. Then, and she just starts yelling at me that I can't afford her business and blah, blah. And then her husband's like, he doesn't just have he has the food trucks. And she's like, "Oh, your food trucks are great." Like you're so, and I just kind of shrugged at her and like said it was nice to meet, and then I left.
I remember this story.
And now, so I laugh at the fact that here they are like 6-7 years later, and they're still just filling a 30-seat place 2 times on a fucking Saturday. And
there's a line out the door, by the way.
A line out the door, yeah, because they're people that they can't sit. Their money they can't take. And I was there. I was going up in front of the selectmen for something, the same meeting where they were asking for the Ruda's thing. And they were like, "Didn't you try to open for dinner at Amber Road?" And she like made this joke about not being able to work that long. But the reality is it didn't do well. And then they wanted to open the juice bar because they didn't want to put in a real fucking kitchen. And the town wasn't going to let them put extra seating for that place to like 2 doors down, which by the way I also think is garbage. So that's the thing. I mean, I own 2 businesses that are legally in Canton.
Canton,
but the select people in Sharon are amazing, and
yeah.
they should have just said to her, "Oh, you're a business person in this town with a great reputation. We should give you. Let's just make that a seating area." Corey, you open a door and you
government. It's the government.
But you open a door, you walk into a hallway. And then it's 3 stores inside that.
Yeah.
This woman was just asking to be able to put extra seating for the one all the way to the left at the one all the way to the right because there's like a nail salon in the middle, and they don't want to leave. And I mean, you're still coming through the same front door.
Yeah.
Like the fuck, I can't
fuck?
take like you can't just sell me my fucking breakfast and let me walk over here. And they wouldn't let her, so she opened a juice bar.
This is what liberals get you.
And it is a good juice bar, and Gronk goes there a lot, which helps them. And they post pictures.
We have another patriot that lives in Canton too.
Who's that?
Van
Noy?
Yeah.
He lives in Canton?
Yeah, so it was weird. He bought like a pork chop lot on Sherman Street that was built like 2015, maybe 2016.
Okay.
He didn't buy it in 2015 or 2016. I can't remember, but they pork chopped a lot, and he bought that house for like.
What's pork chop mean?
Like they cut the lot, so like literally there's a house here. Oh, no one can see. Oh, we're on camera. Then there's a house here.
It's like
redistricting. Is it the one like if I
built a house in front of the business?
So come on, is it like is that the one? So Town Hall, I pass Town Hall on my right, cross over. I'm still on Sherman. Is it on my right there, like up a little hill?
On your left.
Okay, so
on your left. So if you come down, if Town Hall's on your left, and you go down Sherman like you're heading towards Pleasant Street, it's on your left.
Oh, got it. So it's closer to the school. It's closer.
Yes, close to elementary school.
Okay, all right. So
I'm gonna send him a letter.
So the weird thing about
he
him,
might get traded, right?
No, well, he's a free agent.
Right. So
He's
he
a free
might go.
agent.
Is he? I don't
Yeah.
even
So
know.
the thing that's like, I don't know about annoying, but I kind of like Van Noy started doing this that like food thing. He like does like a food vlog or something.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't come see Simcha, and like we're like right in his backyard. So.
He hasn't come. But he might not know you're here.
Yeah,
You
but
didn't even know he lived in Canton.
Yeah, he goes to junk ass places. I've seen him go to some whack. Didn't he go to Ruda's?
Oh,
I think
maybe.
he went to Ruda's.
go
He might have
to
gone with
Ruda's.
Gronk.
I don't know. I just feel
He's
like
a great player though.
this is what it,
I'd like them to keep him.
Amazing trade.
Yeah,
you've got.
I'd love
You've
them to
got
keep
great
him.
restaurants in Sharon. You've got some great restaurants in
We
Medfield.
have two. We have Angels, and we have
Angel's
me.
Cafe, and
Who else is great?
well, you have
Who else is great?
you have a different restaurant. That,
Szechuan Gourmet's dope. That's the Chinese place at the end of the plaza.
That's
I like
Alice.
actually really good.
Mandarin
Drinking and
Taste.
playing pool.
Mandarin Taste.
Taste.
I felt like Mandarin Taste fell off years ago.
Alice.
I love her, but I gotta take out her. I don't want to get into it. But
Okay, don't get into it.
Yeah,
I mean, the Square is doing okay.
that's cool. But I wouldn't call them great.
Well, I mean, you're
That's
you're
that
the
bar.
best.
Is that bar?
I don't care if I'm the best or
No,
not.
but you are the best.
So
Like,
is the Square better than Waterfall? I'd go to
Ooh.
Waterfall 10 times over going to the Square. And I like the
don't
people at the
know,
Square, by
actually.
the way.
I'd have to do a taste test.
Actually, I
there.
shouldn't even say. I don't know why I said
I
that. I
don't
like the
know.
burger at the Square. I don't know.
The burgers at Square is better than the burgers at Waterfall.
I've had a great burger at both, so I don't know.
He hasn't. Go back to Waterfall.
You guys are hyper local right now.
We
Yeah,
are very
I know.
hyper local. We can
Yeah,
talk
so-
about Rhode Island. I've been to the donut place.
Yeah, but I don't think people are like, hey, let's listen to Jerry Callahan, then Jerry Thornton, and then restaurant reviews of Sharon, Massachusetts. Although Simca's dope.
Have you been to Avenue in Medfield?
No, but I saw you posted something on Facebook.
You need to go.
I tried to go in
this.
there once and then it was packed. I'm like, fuck, I just
They've been
turned
there.
around.
So when they first opened up, they weren't doing awesome. They've been there for 4 years.
It's a
now.
nice spot.
It was a great spot. Number one, the drinks were fantastic.
very expensive.
The food was good. It was
It's
like
Medfield.
it reminded me of Sweet Basil a little bit. Not from the food, but you know how Dave, he does this great. You get a great meal and then there's a ton of leftovers.
Yeah.
And it's not gross.
Okay.
That's what it was like. Like my husband and I went there.
So
we
basically,
were
you
stuffed.
just said the portions are great.
The portions are great. The
So
food was good.
Coco does. This is like I'll like ask Coco how a restaurant was, and the only feedback he gives me is what size the portion was.
Yeah,
So-
I have leftovers.
But
Yeah,
you
he'll always
should-
go,
you
the
should-
portions were great. Or he'll be like, the portions were a little small. And I'm like, no, I want to know if the food was fucking good, buddy.
I threw up tonight, but I'll have it tomorrow.
Honestly,
food-
there were so many steak tips. They were terrible, but I took a lot of them home.
The food at Avenue was delicious.
Do you think, so I wasn't like, we don't have to make this about age, but do you think there's like a certain age you get to where the portions are what matters?
I think you said 8.
Because that's all I could think of when you said that. You were like, you just raved about this restaurant, and then your only real feedback was you were like, it reminds me of Sweet
Reminds me of
Basil
Sweet
because there's a
Basil.
lot of food left when I'm done. And I'm like,
I am
okay.
getting to that point where I need to have like a lunch the next day
Oh, yeah, of course,
and then
for
like
sure.
an early dinner.
Yeah, where you're like,
No, but Avenue, you got to go try it. I can't believe you haven't tried
there's
it.
not a lot of leftovers if you come to Simca. That's a reality, but that's intentional.
But that's okay. I
That's what
don't
we aim
want
at.
to. This is not food. I mean, some of the food I'd want to heat up, but
I guess I believe, and by the way, I wouldn't. I personally eat all my food at Sweet Basil, but yes, there is a lot of portions.
how do you eat all of that? It's
I'm a
massive.
monster.
That is
I'm a monster.
very impressive.
I mean, the
But,
rosemary chicken could feed a family of
oh
4
my
for
god,
a
my
week.
rosemary. Seriously, like
So-
give me a
it's
piece
good.
of bread to go. Forget
But
about it.
also you got to.
2 meals.
Also, I think the genre of cuisine lends itself
Yeah,
to big
that's true,
portions,
for sure.
and then also the thing about Sweet Basil is that Sweet Basil's 20 years old, so it is a throwback to a certain time when you build a
Right.
certain concept. Nobody really says this, but Sweet Basil, you can't find restaurants in the greater Boston area that last 10 years, and that place has been around 20 years.
The other thing
I was
about
talking
it
to somebody
is,
about
you
that
know
the
what
other
it
day.
is though. When you go in there, right? You got to get the pesto and the bread. So you're already like, all right.
I could literally drink a bottle of wine and eat pesto and bread
Yeah,
and have
exactly.
just a salad and I'd
Right,
be stuffed.
and then
Of
you
course,
have
and then
four
you're
bites of
then
your
your-
And I
rosemary.
still
Then your
order
check
a
would be
meal.
$3. Your check would be $3, and Dave would be like, "What the fuck?"
But I do believe the age thing, just get back to that for a second, it's about not having to go into Boston. And that there's good options outside the city.
I agree with that.
Like
Yeah.
my husband and I like going into the city, but it's like it's a big ordeal. Like
Yeah.
we have to get reservations. We have
Well,
to go,
I'm of the age where I don't want to go in either, but.
which is
Back,
really
but,
sad.
but back to the leftovers thing. I am a believer that that part of hospitality is cultivating an experience for your guests. And for me, and the reason I said that about Sweet Basil was to point out that like Dave's other restaurants are different now. That's just that's a concept that he started 20 years ago at a different time.
Right.
And so you're not going to change it
You
now.
can't go to
Definitely.
smaller
You can't
portions.
change it. But I do think whenever someone tells me like a new concept and they tell me there's a lot of leftovers, I'm like, are they not
Yeah, you're cooking extra food.
Right,
basically.
like they should be cultivating the experience. Like I put as many carrots on the plate as we want you to eat as part of a meal where you're going to order carrots and Brussels and chicken.
Right.
To me, like if I gave you a shit ton of carrots, it just was like, well, hopefully they'll eat half, put the other half away, and move on. Or if I gave you like a giant portion of chicken and was like, yeah, I mean, you know, that way you'll have leftovers. To me, it's like, well, then you didn't think about my experience. Like I want eating out at a nice restaurant on a weekend night is about like vibe and pace, and it's about like what you start with and what it goes to next and what it goes to next.
This is why you're a brilliant restaurateur. Is that what it's called?
Restaurateur. There's no end.
Restaurateur.
But I wouldn't say brilliant, but working towards it.
I mean, legit, like you think about the customer experience. That is where I find the problem with some other local restaurants is they're not thinking about the customer experience.
So, and I know we got to wrap this thing up, but I want to read this text that I got while we were sitting here. So 2 Saturdays ago, we had by far the worst service we've had since we opened. And it was my GM was out of town. And just, you know, staff, sometimes they have to learn, like they have to fall a little to learn. And I always, 25-year-old Avi who opened the Chickpea would have gotten heated, like not just with his staff, with customers. That were, you know, customers were mean. And instead, like 35-year-old Avi has worked to get to a point where he knows that like you have to say you're sorry, you have to make it right. So this one customer sent me an email afterwards actually and said that they had a really bad experience and they were really disappointed. There were some portion issues. They ordered 2 of the same thing and they were different portions. That they were there. They were in town for a funeral actually, and they were in here for the meal the night before with this woman's parents and her husband. And she said like her husband doesn't like to complain. He's not that type, but she felt like I would want to know. And so I wrote her back an email first of all. And whenever someone rips me, I always start an email with, I appreciate you sharing this feedback. Like even if it hurts my feelings, you made me better. Like I can't not know this. So I said, you know, did you pay with a credit card? She did. So I was able to refund one of the portion that was small. And then also I said, this is how I know that she was here for a funeral. I asked if they could come back the next morning for brunch on me, the whole family. And she said, unfortunately, we have a funeral or whatever, but my parents live in the area. Would it be okay if I extended that invitation to them? I said, of course. So they came in today. And my GM came over and said, hey, there's some guests here that say they were invited in. I said, yeah, sit them down. Let's get them a nice meal. Took good care of them. And afterwards they asked to speak to me. And they were very gracious and very kind, and I told them I just really appreciate. And then I just got this text from the guest who found my cell phone, I guess, in my email and said, thank you so much for having my parents dine at Simca today. They had a great experience and definitely will come back. Also, they will be sure to recommend your restaurant to their friends. Thank you again. And I wrote back, I just really appreciate you giving me a second chance. And I think a lot of restaurants, if you haven't done it, it takes a long time to get over. It's so personal. So whenever there's an attack, even if you're wrong, your gut instinct is to go like, that's not true. Or like, and then undoubtedly when customers are complaining, they might throw 1 or 2 things in that you disagree with them on. Right. And it's hard to not fight that. It's hard to be like, well, you're actually wrong
Give
on
them
that. On the
explanation.
Right. Which just sounds like you told them that they didn't know better. And I've learned that if you're serious about building this thing, I comped $385 worth of stuff that night. And my staff was like, oh my God, that's terrible. And I said, look, I came too far to let $385 ruin me. Like these people had a bad experience. I'm like 1 table of 6, 5 of them got their drinks at the same time and 1 waited 40 minutes. I comped the whole round. Yeah. We didn't fuck that person's drink up. We fucked all your drinks up because you wanted to drink this together. Yeah. And you had to sit there and decide, do I drink my cocktail? Do I not? Then by the time you drink your cocktail, it's changed, right? It's settled. Yeah. And so like I ruined your night. Like that's the reality. And if you go out to a restaurant, we're not selling you food. And that's why I get into the leftover and all that. We're selling you an experience.
Exactly.
And so it's like, if you think about it, leftovers are nice. And if you go to a restaurant that you go to regularly and you're expecting leftovers, it's awesome. But if you go out in the city with your husband and you're going to go see a play afterwards or something,
I don't want leftovers.
You're not going to take those leftovers. So now you just bought food that you don't want because you don't want to carry a plastic container with you the rest of the night.
And then they're going to throw it away.
Right. Avi gave it to a guy running a parking lot once. So, like, oh, you want these leftovers?
Oh, I did. I got nice leftovers, and I just saw the dude sitting there running the parking lot, and it was wrapped up from the restaurant. I said, hey, you want this? He was thrilled. So he got a nice meal.
The question for you, Avi, do you still believe in that whole customer is always right?
So what's really funny...
Avi's always right, but the customer, they got some say.
So what's funny is up until a couple years ago, I felt like that had gotten out of control. I felt like that's a phrase that we say, not you. Like you shouldn't view it as you're always right. We view it as you're always right. But now I've come around on that, and what I have always told my staff, and this is more important than whether or not the customer's right, is I always tell them you never argue with the customer. Because you won't be there when they explain their side of it. Right. So, like, they're going to explain their side to a million people.
Exactly.
So, the trick is you need to have a conversation with them with that leads to them thinking, and realizing that all I care about is you having a good experience. I didn't open this restaurant for me to have a great night every Saturday. I opened it for you to have a great Saturday night.
Exactly.
So I've never, and I say this all the time, I say this on a lot of platforms, people have heard me say it before, I've never read a review on the internet that I didn't believe was honest. It doesn't mean I agree with every one of them. I don't believe that there are people, and this is like the guy we were talking about with the taco place, he used to say to me, people are out to get him and write the stuff on Yelp. And I'm like, except the stuff that's on Yelp, I've experienced. You know what happens. No, someone had a bad night. And the reality is when you ruin, and this is hard for entrepreneurs to understand, right? Like when you screw something up, like, so we're in such different fields that I have a higher chance of screwing people's stuff up. But if you screwed somebody's stuff up, it's much bigger. And it's not just screwed. You'd feel horrible about it, right? Like,
well, feel horrible about it. And it has a tremendous impact regardless if it's you screwing up or me screwing up.
Sure.
It is a tough, you said something interesting about Yelp. It is so hard to own a restaurant, to own a business these days, because people have what's called keyboard courage, right?
Okay.
So they may not say to you, like this woman, I would send her flowers. Thank you so much for sharing with me how horrible this was. Let me try and make it better.
Yeah.
The Yelp reviewer, right, who leaves a review about, oh, this was horrible and the food was disgusting and this is what happened. Well, please come in. Let's have a conversation about it. You've missed the opportunity to fix it.
So I do find that a lot of, Simca doesn't get a lot of negative Yelp reviews, but it's gotten a couple.
Thank God.
And when they do, absolutely. And when they do, I respond to them. And what I do find that out of all platforms, Yelpers are the least likely to respond to my reach out.
Right.
So I agree with you there. But I will say this. I used to hate Yelp. I used to hate Yelpers. I used to hate reading my Yelp. It used to be a bad experience.
6 straight episodes.
And then I started being more demanding on my staff, working to be more honest with myself. And now I love reading it. We got a 4-star review from last night. Our Yelp is at like 4.75.
And did you respond to the 4-star review?
So I don't respond to the positive stuff.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
I agree with that, though.
Yeah.
No. Why?
Because, well, so one, and I don't want to sound arrogant when I say this, but because we get a lot more positive than negative, and so I'd be just responding to a lot of reviews all the time, and I'm already kind of too busy. But the biggest reason is I don't think when people put positive feedback on the internet. So one thing I do is, I mean, you've been in my restaurant. I say from my pita station, I thank everyone on their way out. I yell across a busy restaurant, thank you for coming. I table touch. So the chances are by the time that person wrote it, and a lot of our reviews will say the owner was gracious or the GM came over. So we've thanked you. I think thanking you for writing on the internet makes it feel like I don't want to be that person. I've never encouraged someone to go write something on the internet about me because I truly believe in organic business growth. Yelp is a reflection of what we're doing for good and for bad. So again, when people hate their Yelp, and I've been that guy, it's because really you hate the shit job you're doing. I was doing a shitty job with the chickpea at one point, and I hated my fucking Yelp. And I was angry about it all the time. But the reality is those people, were they being keyboard warriors? Of course. Like they didn't say that shit to my face. But so what? They don't have to. Like,
it's not their job.
The contract that we entered into, they were going to give me money, and I was supposed to deliver an experience. And I don't get to judge how they react to that bad experience. I don't get to judge and be like, you should have told me that. Fuck you, buddy. I paid you money. You ruined my fucking night. I'm going to write it on the internet.
Yeah, right.
You're within your right to do that. I mean,
but sometimes people put I'll tell you for me, I'm one of those people. If I put a review on Yelp of a restaurant or business that I'm in, sometimes you want the gratifying experience of somebody coming back to you and be like, thanks so much for showing up. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Glad you guys had a good night.
And I guess what I'm saying is,
Avi's already told
I try
them
to do that in person.
I know, but sometimes the review comes the next day. And by the way, it then drives engagement. So then those people that see people don't know who you are, right? There are people that don't know who Avi is.
I'm working on that.
I mean, it's far and few between, but there may be a couple that don't know who he is.
There's a lot of people
and
that
they
don't know
show up here based on a Yelp review.
Okay.
So now they're reading Yelp and they're like, wow, this looks really cool. They
Right.
got great pita, they got great hummus, they got great carrots. Or actually, I liked the fried chicken.
Fried chicken's dope.
The fried chicken's delicious, right?
I'm a big shock.
But what also is really awesome is when they say, "Oh, and look, the owner chef responded to that review."
Oh, respond publicly, you're saying?
Yeah, so he's engaged.
So I respond privately to the negatives. I don't ever do it publicly.
No, publicly to both. Thanks for coming. Glad you had a great time. Because then I'm the next Yelper. I'm the next person looking for a restaurant locally, and I'm like, wow, look at how engaged he is with his people.
But I'm trying to look unapproachable. I want people to view me as
That
like,
is
oh
going to be
God.
the hardest thing you've ever done.
I want people.
Here's the weird thing about it.
I want people to look at me and be like, "Oh my God."
There's Avi Shemtov.
Well, that's the way you were introducing me. At
I
the
did. I
party
go,
the other
this
day.
is
It was
Avi
so awkward.
Shemtov. I was so excited that you came.
That was very nice of you, and I
Avi
appreciated
came
it.
to my big kickoff party at Blue Hills Country Club on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like towards the end of the night, and he showed up, and I knew
In,
that
like, scrubby clothes.
I knew that he had. You must have been
Smelling like a
working.
restaurant,
He
yeah.
kind of smelled like a restaurant.
I did, yeah.
And he walked in, and I was like, oh my God, it's a lot when people show up. Listen.
Oh, of course.
You deal with it every night. You're like, I just want people to show up.
And
So I was so excited. And at that point, I had many glasses of wine. I was like, oh my God, Avi Shemtov's here. Avi's here. Do you know Avi's restaurant? And I introduced you.
in full name as if I was somebody to everybody.
Yes.
Which made it so awkward because then they were like, "Oh my God," and then they would like tell me their name. So I just said my name back. Like they were like your friend just said her name to me, and she's like, I don't want to say her name.
But I will tell you that
She's
the
like,
next
"Said her
day,
name?"
I had someone say to me, "Hey,
Avi Shemtov.
you know the chef that you had come to the event." Someone said that to me. You know the chef you had that come to the event.
Yeah.
So yes, I get a little crazy.
Well, we want to get to a point where they say, you know, the podcast guy.
That's right.
That came to your event.
Well, you know what? So, podcast probably wasn't your dream, even though you've been begging me to do this for
It
years.
was my dream. This
No.
is what I wanted first.
Simca was your actual dream.
Depends on
No, what do you mean no? Since I've known you,
What I'm saying
I mean,
is, when I was a 15-year-old kid, I wanted
to open
be
a
on
restaurant in
SportsCenter.
Sharon.
No, I wanted to be on SportsCenter and maybe be a famous rapper.
okay, but you always wanted to open a restaurant in Sharon.
For sure, I have a lot of dreams. You know.
Yeah, well, that's
But
true.
he executes quite well. I mean,
appreciate
he
you
was a
saying
rapper. He opened up
Well,
multiple
I don't know.
restaurants.
Execute is a strong word for his rapping career.
Are you being serious?
I'm
Are you being serious? Because I was filthy, and you know that.
Did you go to the middle? Did you do the thing? In the
I did
Middle
my
East?
show at the Middle East.
I
No.
couldn't
And
get out there.
I
No one,
killed it.
no one can succeed when they have Corey O'Leary as a hype man. I
He-
mean,
he
that's
did
not
once.
Did
execution.
you do something at the show?
Once.
Are you a rapper?
No, it was more
he's
than
not a
once.
rapper.
Do you guys
More
now?
than once.
Do you know the Beastie Boys are doing that documentary April 24th?
No.
Are you not a Beastie Boys fan?
No.
Well, oh, that's because you're 35.
No, it's because I like dope lyricism. I don't like yo, we're at the table and we got a couple glasses. That's Beastie
Hey,
Boys is
Melissa,
like
you know,
legit things that like
Beastie
5-year-olds.
Avi raps every opening. You want to do it live? We'll do it live.
Do
right
it live right
Oh,
now.
fuck it.
You can take us out. That's
By the
what.
way, this is something that Corey
We
makes
actually
me
can't
do,
do it.
and
I don't-
I tell him every single
Oh,
week.
he hates
I
it so
hate it.
much.
Like, I
But
tell
Well, he's
him
gonna
every
do it
week,
because
I'm like,
we got
I
to
hate
close
this.
it down. We've been chatting away.
no, I
for
can't.
like,
I can't do it. I don't have it set up yet. We got to do it when you leave.
Can't he
Melissa.
just do it like
with no beat?
no beat? Just give him a beat. Just give him a snap on the table.
I don't want.
Like the talented rappers. Yeah. Can't you just? It's like being a poet. Just read a poem.
Last night, somebody tried to make me rap at like this event that I was at where they fed me way too many drinks. I got fucked up.
You're like, nah,
Really
all
fucked up.
right.
No, I tried and I couldn't. So I just was like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
Well, you can do it
I
tonight.
embarrassed myself. Like I was so fucked up.
You got on
It's like-
stage
it
at
was
the
like,
Middle East in
I
front
just
of a bunch
can't
of
get-
strangers.
I just
No, it
can't
wasn't
get it
that
up
I was
tonight.
nervous. It was that I was hammered to the point where like the words aren't coming. Like I'm like I can't think. Like
It was like one of those nights where you're like, I just can't get it up tonight. Sorry.
Cialis. Are you in a bathtub next to another bathtub?
All
Corey,
right.
Porcelain's turning
Corey, is
me
that a
on.
problem that you have? Is that a thing that we're?
We're talking about rapping.
Is that a thing that you go
Wait,
through?
we're
Corey,
talking
can you
about
rap?
rapping.
And we are
Yeah.
going to get back to the Beastie Boys another time. but,
I can
like, it's
I can
legit.
rap a lot of things that
Like
great
Christmas
rappers
gifts.
already wrote and put on a beat. Yeah, I can do those, no problem.
Oh, you do originals.
Of course. Someone
I-
asked me that last before
No,
the
yo,
show. They were
I
like,
got-
"Did you write this stuff?" I'm like, "Nah, tonight I'm doing Juicy." It was all a dream.
Yo, that shit's fire.
I do recite Jay-Z lyrics like all day through my day, and my thing is I love doing this. My staff, I can't. They pretend to like it. I think it annoys them.
They're like, who's
But
Jay-Z?
I do this thing where I go, I'll act like I'm talking to you, but
And
I'll
then
be
you'll
like,
sing the song.
yeah, I'll be like, "What's the deal, Playboy? Just rest your soul. I'll be holding it down, yo. Still love the dough."
And they're like,
They
he's
stop
crazy.
because they're like, when I'm talking, usually it's like something needs to happen. So I'll be like, "Yo, what's the deal, Playboy?" And they'll like turn around, and I'm like, "Just rest your soul. I'll be holding it down, yo." And they're just like,
they
"What
don't
the
know
fuck?"
how, they don't know how to react
They're
to
just
it.
like, "What the fuck is this?" And then someone across the room will be like, "Yeah, he does that to me all the time." Yeah, just keep it moving.
The staff.
Then you're like, Jigga, what? They're like,
Yeah.
what is this guy saying?
What's my mother's middle name?
But he won't.
There's
He
a kid
won't
in middle
rap the
school who used to-
Beastie Boys.
I'm not gonna rap the Beastie Boys. Do they have like rappable music? Like
The Beastie Boys were like legit 1980s, amazing. Like, think about what they did.
the Beastie Boys were
Pioneers.
The
That's
Beastie
what I
Boys
could
were
think of.
were the beneficiaries of American racism. Basically, like white people
No.
that weren't ready to like black people were like, I like that.
Why does
it's
he
such
spin it to,
shitty.
like,
It's
such
such
a
shitty rap.
No, because if you think about it, it was the 80s, the Beastie Boys. What else was going on in the 80s?
Hey, Mike
hair
D.
bands.
Mike D was at Boston Calling last year
Was he?
when I worked for you.
Like as himself?
No, remember he DJ'd.
Oh, did he?
Did he?
Yeah, at Boston Calling last year. Yeah,
Nice.
I just feel I don't think it was like
we were
a,
slinging falafel instead.
Slanging.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, anyway,
What?
I think that the Beastie Boys. Were
See,
like,
Alice, are you in the bathtub next to another bathtub?
No, Melissa was like rocking Beastie Boys with Vin Baker and shit.
I was legit.
Was
that
Vin
the
Baker
80s.
an Beastie Boys fan?
He was not an Beastie Boys fan.
Probably was.
No, because that was in the 90s. So that was when like Brand Nubian. You remember Brand Nubian?
Yeah,
Tribe.
Brand Nubian. I thought Brand Nubian was more of an 80s.
No.
I'm not sure about that.
Brand
But
Nubian
Tribe, I'm
was
a
like
huge.
late 80s,
I'm a fan.
early
I'm a
90s.
fan of Tribe.
Tribe Called Quest. That
Yep.
was all like early 90s.
Oh, that's not the Tribe I thought you were talking about. I thought you meant the hummus brand.
The hummus
Yeah.
brand?
No, I'm a Tribe Called Quest fan. That's what
Tribe
I missed.
Called
I'm
Quest, right? So
joking.
that's like legit.
What about Snow? Informer. You
Oh,
know,
yeah,
sentiments know me, I
what
will play
happened?
'em.
He was
Licky
white.
Boom Boom now. He still is, actually.
Okay. What happened to him?
He just put out a song called Cold Camo last year. It
Wait,
was
you know
dope.
who's got a
Stupid
show
dope.
on TV? Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, dude, that guy's cool, actually. I watched an
Oh
interview.
God!
Did you
All right,
watch him
no,
last night
no,
in the
you really
pool?
gotta wrap this up. This is
Okay.
twice now we mentioned Vanilla
Okay,
Ice on this
all right.
podcast.
Okay, but
this is
Vanilla
not
Ice
where I
is
want this
dope.
to
You
go.
No more Vanilla
Vanilla
Ice.
Ice, his music's trash, but as a person, he seems like a really cool dude.
I
all I
think
wanna
that
say.
he's a little crazy.
No, he's accumulated quite a bit of wealth.
Hey,
He's
here
done
it
some
goes,
pretty
yeah.
cool stuff,
Did he?
so.
But he lost a
No,
lot
didn't.
of money.
No, and actually watch this interview. No, he says people confuse me like as if I'm MC Hammer. He's like, I had great investment deals. I'm sitting and I looked it up. His net worth, he's worth a lot of money.
Good for him. So he wasn't that dumb.
You're just mad because he has a real estate TV show.
He does. But he makes pools. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing like he flips houses or
He
something.
flips houses,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
Try to get in on that. You could be like a co-host. I could see you on HGTV.
Could you see me?
I could. 100%. You're like, yeah.
I'm a little crazy.
no.
Not as
I meant
crazy as
like you're
Avi.
dynamic. You're dynamic.
Dynamo.
Well, this was so much fun.
Cool.
guys.
Yes,
All right,
Melissa,
guys.
thank you so much.
This was Heat in the Kitchen.